Good morning, everyone. It's yours truly here, Aaron, back with another WWE podcast. And if you guys are wondering why I'm doing podcasts now, I don't know why I'm doing podcasts now. Okay, I was actually supposed to just interview Paul Starr, and that was it. But people love my beautiful voice and they love my beautiful face, so they wanted me to do more. And I'm not a Vince McMahon. I'm all about giving the fans what they want. So here's another podcast. Before we get started with the interview, though, I want to talk about a couple of things that are going on in the world, because there's always something going on in the world, especially in America. So, this winter, it's the first time it snowed in all 50 states since like the 70s or 80s, I think. Thank God I wasn't alive back then, because snow is horrible. Living in Florida, you never get used to snow. The snow is annoying, quite frankly. And I hate snow. It's cold. It's white. I mean, I like other kinds of white stuff, when I'm transmitting the white stuff. But snow, no, I don't like it. And I feel like that's God's white stuff. He's taking a huge dump on everybody. And I hate it. So, also the government shutdown at 12 o'clock last night. 12 o'clock a.m. Yep, apparently they were voting on something, but I guess one side wanted something different than the other side, and everybody, saw a lot of pettiness, so now the government shut down. So guess what? All my friends over there in the military don't get paid. That sucks. You're working for free. That sucks. Also, I guess something about children and healthcare, and so they also don't get anything. It always sucks when the government shuts down. At least it's not Jimmy Carter, where it literally shut down every 2 months. That's actually happened. Look it up. My casino is going quite well. There's a lot of business stuff going on in this little casino thing that I started up with my good friend Hayden. Everybody loves Hayden. I love Hayden. You love Hayden. I'm trying to get Hayden on here. I'm actually trying to get Hayden and Alan on here at the same time, because I really want to see what happens there. That'll be chaotic. Hayden and Alan, same podcast, same interview. It'll be great. I finally got around to finishing Wrestle Kingdom 12. We're probably going to talk a little bit about that on this podcast here. Wrestle Kingdom 12 was a phenomenal show. The main event was great. That's actually the only match I watched at first, and I went back and watched the others. The main event was great. You should watch all the matches. They're all pretty good. Cody Rhodes and I almost said Dusty Rhodes. Cody Rhodes and Goldust did really good in their match. Really emotional ending. I feel like that's not the end of their feud, though, and I really hope it's not. I really hope for a rematch and a more conclusive ending to their saga. Other than that, show was pretty good. I'll get more indefinite at some point. New Japan has another event coming up next week. No. I actually believe it's this weekend. Yeah. Wait, no. Not this weekend. Next weekend. Next Saturday. Yeah. I got my dates all confused, guys. I'm sorry. Next Saturday, New Beginning in Osaka, and the other city that I don't feel like pronouncing right now. Same day as Survivor Series, though. Of course, it's going to be before Survivor Series because of time zones. So if you're lucky, you will be able to watch 4 amazing shows in one weekend, because they are also having a 2-night show, just like Survivor Series is a 2-night show. They are also doing a 2-night show over in New Japan. So have fun with that. You'll get 4 amazing shows with some amazing wrestling. Unfortunately, Okada is going to be at Survivor Series, so you will only be able to see him on one of the shows, unless he is a time traveler and has super speed or something. So that will be fun. Something else I wanted to talk about. North Korea. Once again, Kim Jong-un launched a missile, and the missile hit his own city. That is not news. That everybody knows this. Kim Jong-un is incompetent. He's an idiot. He's a moron. It's kind of like, I don't know. He's kind of like I don't want to compare him to Vince Russo, but he's kind of like that incompetent old wrestler who thinks he still got the stuff, and he doesn't. Just to tie into a little bit of wrestling here. I like making wrestling analogies. So who would be the Kim Jong-un of WWE? I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good question to ask for you guys in the comments section. And if you guys want to get that talking, get some political WWE crossover talking. All right, that's all I have to say. That's not about me. Today we're doing a podcast and an interview with WWE champion. I think he's won it at least twice, probably once. I cannot remember. My times are all mixed up. Former WWE champion, former WWE wrestler. I guess, former tag team champion at some point. Former lots of things. And now he is currently in politics, and he is making a run for the governor of this little state called Ohio. Not many people know what Ohio is, obviously. Yeah, nobody knows what Ohio is. So, my interviewee today is the one and the only Zack Gustin. Hey, Zack, what's up?
Thanks for having me, Aaron. I'm just chilling over here in Memphis, Tennessee, just chilling on my couch,
Memphis,
listening to this
Tennessee.
wonderful podcast.
Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. Jerry Lawler's there. Say hi to Jerry for me.
I got it.
I
I
miss
just bought
Jerry.
this house about a year ago.
About
I
a
like it down
year
here.
ago. About a year ago. Okay, so first things first. I just wanted to ask you. Now that you're into politics, what made you want to get into politics? Like, what made you want to decide that you wanted to run for this governor of Ohio stick?
Well, there's a lot of things, really. I mean, I've always had interest in it, but it was Donald Trump himself who spiked that interest back into me. I like his passion for our country, and I guess I can say that I feel the same for Ohio. 'Cause, I've grown up in Ohio my entire life. I'm a true Buckeye in and out, and I feel that I know what's best for the state and how I can evolve the state into one of the best in America.
Right, and that's really what it's all about, really, making the state better. What do you think about the guy who's in there right now, John Cage? I don't know how to pronounce his name.
John Kasich, yeah.
Yeah, John Kasich.
He doesn't have a lot of great approval ratings. However, I like John Kasich personally. I met the guy about a month ago, actually. I shook his hand. He's a nice, polite guy, and I think he's got the right ideas most of the time. Like, he's trying to do this thing where he feels Democrats and Republicans should come together and work together, and I don't see how you can disagree with that. Why fight it? We should work together and make the country better as a whole.
Yeah, unfortunately, not everybody's concerned about having a better country. Some people are just concerned about, getting their specific ideals out there. It really sucks, but I don't know. I don't know why America is like that. It's just,
Millennials, I guess.
yeah, that's it too. Millennials, and then over in California, there's the whole immigration thing, and
And instead of fighting it, they just say, "Oh, I'm moving to Canada."
all right, huh. I mean, I'm not saying Canada's a bad place, but
I love Canada, but
yeah,
fight for your damn country.
right. If you think moving to Canada is gonna solve all your problems, you got the wrong idea. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, like, there was a time where blacks weren't equal to whites, and if they didn't fight, where would they be today? Just think
Right,
about that.
right. Imagine if they all just moved to Canada. Or I'm going to. I almost said Justin Trudeau. He was not the prime minister of Canada at the time. I'm going to Canada, and they just never fought for rights in America. They would not. They would not be here today. Definitely would not. So I did endorse you for this governor of Ohio thing. I usually don't do public endorsements unless it's for the president, but I feel like I didn't endorse Kane either. He was mad at me about that because I did not endorse. Yeah. At the time, I was just like, well, what do you want me to say? I mean,
To
what
be
is
honest, I was gonna endorse him, but I had originally planned to run against Kane. However, I can't because of certain qualifications. You have to be a certain resident of Tennessee for a certain amount of time, and I didn't meet the qualifications. So I didn't want to be a big hypocrite and say, "Oh, Kane, I hope Kane gets it."
right, right? I didn't endorse him because I wasn't really into politics at that time. So just like
He's a smart man. I think he'll
yeah,
do a great job.
yeah. And I think Booker T is running for the mayor of Houston, I believe. So that's gonna
That's
be
going to be difficult for Booker because, he has a lot of bad criminal history that's going to be brought up by his competition.
right, right. I didn't know you could run if you had a criminal history. I didn't know you
I
could
didn't think
run.
so either.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just like, forget it. It's Booker freaking T.
We used to watch the Attitude Era. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm all for him. I support him. Whatever he does. I don't know if I'll support his
Not my vote.
policies. Yeah, I don't know if I'll support his policies, but I will definitely
Is he
support him.
liberal?
I don't even know. I don't follow. I don't follow that much.
I don't either.
I'm just gonna guess he is. I don't know. There's a lot of. I think
Like a
most wrestlers. I feel like most wrestlers are on the conservative side though. Like just
Yeah,
majority.
Kane, The Rock, they're both
Yeah.
Republicans.
Well, I don't know if The Rock is still gonna be a Republican after 2020.
Yeah, he might go Democrat just to fight Trump.
Oh, it's gonna be awful, awful, awful. Ugh.
Ah,
We
fun
thought
promos, I guess.
we thought Hillary and Trump was crazy. That'll be ugh.
That's still an upgrade to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, it's true. Anything's an upgrade to Hillary Clinton though. She's pretty
Who
bad.
isn't an upgrade to Hillary Clinton?
I would rather have Bernie than Hillary Clinton. Crazy ass
Oh,
Bernie.
that's without a debate. Bernie all the way compared to Hillary
Communist Bernie.
Clinton.
Everyone deserves free money. Everybody. That's my
dude's clueless about healthcare.
yeah. Ugh. I remember the Zodiac killer Ted Cruz slayed him over healthcare. That was funny.
I saw that. Cruz all the way.
Zodiac killer. So, who's gonna be? Because I assume in these governorships they probably have like a deputy governor or something. So who's gonna be that guy? Who's gonna be your little running mate there in your
Running
quest
mate.
for?
I've thought about this a lot, and I've thought of a few candidates. Even your dad asked to be my running mate, but
Yeah.
given his condition, I don't think he could actually do it right now, considering he's on his
Yeah.
freaking deathbed.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Slow down there, Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a guy in mind. I'm currently waiting on his response. I want the Urbana mayor, Bill Bean, to be my running mate because living in Urbana most of my life, I know for a fact that this place has very low crime rate, and I'd like to think that Bill Bean has something to do with that.
All right. Bill Bean. I think I probably visited a friend in Urbana, but I grew up in more of the rural areas, like the farms and the countrysides, because back when Alan used to wrestle, I had to live on a farm basically with Chad Sny Guy. I
That
miss
sounds
Chad.
crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, especially with that old geezer right there. I mean, Ashley loved him. I love him. I love Chad, but he expected me to do more than I was physically able to do at that time. So there would be 8-year-old me hauling a big ass truck with my bare hands across an open field. And I did. That's probably the start of all my shoulder problems. There was all that heavy labor, that farm work.
That actually makes a lot of sense now that you talk about it.
Yeah, which is why I will always be a city person, and I will never be anything other than that. Because I like
I'm
to
a city
party.
person myself, so I completely agree with you.
Yeah, because you get all the parties. You become a socialite. Out in the countryside, you don't really talk to that many people.
In the city, you can walk to a grocery store. You can't do that in the country.
Yeah, you can have people make things for you. You don't got to do everything yourself. Ugh,
Exactly.
God forbid. Okay, so I talked about Wrestle Kingdom earlier. Thought the show was great. Was kind of surprised to see you on the show though because I didn't actually follow any of the build to Wrestle Kingdom. Like I didn't follow it at all. I was way too busy with stuff. The only match I really heard about was Chandler versus Shibata and Okada versus Snyder Part 2. So I just wanted to know, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know, how did that match come to be between you and the Hulkster brother? That WrestleMania rematch, kinda.
That's exactly what it was. So, I keep in touch with Hogan every now and then. We don't talk every day or anything. I'll text him once in a blue moon, like, "How you doing, Hulkster?" But how it came about is I wanted a retirement match, to be truthful with you. I haven't really had that final match. If I never step in that ring again, I want to look back and say, this was my final match and be proud of it. And I thought Hogan wasn't doing anything. I need to step into this Wrestle Kingdom bout. So I spoke with the owner, and he was more than happy to have me. So he asked me who I wanted. And of course, I don't follow New Japan. I don't know that many guys on the roster. Uh, Kenny Omega was already booked. Um, Allen was already facing Okada. So I said, let's bring back Hogan. Hogan's New Japan run was severely overlooked. When people say that he can't wrestle, I point to his New Japan matches, and I wanted to see that Hogan come out, and I wanted to see us redeem our WrestleMania match. Not that it was necessarily bad, but I felt like we could do better,
Right.
and that's what we did at Wrestle Kingdom. We wrestled our hearts out, and if I never wrestle again, I will be completely satisfied with that match.
So what, did you have to like learn Japanese and stuff?
Honestly, no. I mean, I had to learn small language like yes and no because, if someone's asking me a question, I'll just turn to my translator. I mean, I can just hire a translator. I'm freaking rich.
That's what I used to have when I first went to Japan. When I was like a teenager, Alan literally hired a translator to follow me around all the time. And so,
Exactly. That's exactly
yeah,
what I did.
yeah, until you actually learn the language, it is good to have. Because Japanese is a hard language to learn, guys. I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's not easy. It's pretty hard to learn. It's a lot of people think it's like, oh, well, you can directly translate it from the American language. Well, not exactly because no,
No. The
yeah,
writing's even worse.
yeah, exactly. It's because you not only that, you kind of have to learn how to draw to write in Japanese too. So if you're gonna learn Japanese, don't think it's gonna be as easy as translating it from English because it's not.
I mean, Aaron, think about this. I was just at AAA last year and I had to learn a bunch of Spanish. Do you think I want to go to Japan and learn Japanese too? Like, give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, some people are not like Ashley. Ashley knows like 7 different languages for some reason.
Ah, such a smart woman.
Right? Ugh. I'm jealous. I'm really jealous. So what was it like compared to working in the United States, working in Japan? Like was it more fast paced? Was it slower? Was it more chaotic?
It was actually a lot more slow paced, which is what I'm used to. As you can see in my matches, I take inspiration from Bret Hart a lot in my working style. I like to work a slower, technical wrestling style, and that's what New Japan specializes in. So I blended in actually very well, and the crowd isn't very chaotic like they are in America. They're very silent when you're wrestling.
Right.
So I blended in very well, and I liked it in Japan. I didn't think I would. Now AAA is another story because AAA, oh my God, it's so fast paced. I didn't think I still had it in me. I was over here doing hurricanranas and backflips and things I didn't even know I could do.
I would never work in AAA because I'm not used to all that lucha libre style of wrestling. I like
Oh,
watching
it's
it.
tough. It's really tough.
Or I like watching it. I remember one time I worked at a live event with Rey Mysterio and we were in like a tag match and he was tossing me around and flailing me around like a rag doll. And it was just like, that would really that's kind of too fast for me. I don't know.
It's tough. You got the little guys who are all over the place, like little chameleons, and then you got the big guys who know like every submission in the book that
Right.
make you want to tap out prematurely.
Right. It is like obviously if I did it I can handle it, but it's just like the way things are going now with like how I'm so injured. I seem to be so injury prone. I just don't think it would be for me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Sucks.
dangerous because you got Sexy Star who intentionally breaks people's bones.
Oh yeah, they're crazy stuff. Well, what did you think about that? Because I'm pretty sure that was the same event that Triple Mania. I'm pretty sure you were at Triple Mania. So what did you think
I
about Sexy
was.
Stars?
I wasn't happy about it. Like, if it was an accident, I'd understand, but it doesn't look like an accident to me. How do you accidentally break someone's bone in a submission?
Right.
Obviously, you're just working too rough.
Right. It was like she held it for so long after the girl tapped. So it's like, well,
Exactly. Like when I'm putting on the Poe bite on Alan Snyder, if he's screaming "Get the fuck off me," I'm gonna get the fuck off him.
well, you have the referee to do that for you, thankfully. But I don't know, a lot of crazy stuff goes down. I remember, I heard stories like that, like back before Alberto Del Rio joined WWE, which I was still like a teenager back then. But my dad was my dad was following wrestling still, and I was following the dirt sheets, and I heard about Sin Cara ran like a gang backstage, and they almost killed Alberto Del Rio, and I'm just like,
Oh my god.
yeah, I'm just like, what the hell?
I
So,
think me and Anthony were in FCW at that time.
that reminded me to stay as far away from Japan. I mean, Mexico as possible, because I'm just like, I'm not with that Mexican cartel stuff. Um,
I thought I would fit in very well because, I was never really a Japanese wrestling kind of person. I
right,
blended in well, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me. But Wrestle Kingdom sure changed my mind. It was a great event.
right. So you're gonna be watching more. Are you gonna be watching more New Japan Pro Wrestling to see where Hogan's little run goes, or
That's probably my favorite storyline right now. See, my problem with Japan is when they don't create these captivating characters like WWE does.
mm-hmm.
Now that you have Hogan there, he's a captivating character, and for his age, he can still go.
Right.
And I'll tune in just to see Hogan. I mean, if there's someone else that captures my mind, I'll watch him. Like for example, Kenny Omega. I'm a huge fan of Kenny Omega. I'll tune in for those two.
Yeah, because pretty sure they're doing Hogan versus Cena soon, so that'll be very interesting to see. Well,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Surprisingly, my money's on Hogan here. I feel like he's got like I don't know what word to say. Is he re-evolving?
Yeah, and you had it right the first time. Rejuvenated. I like that.
Rejuvenated, yeah.
Yeah, I like that word. I want to see Hogan win too, because he's everybody. Like, Cena's a hero, but Hogan's everybody's superhero. It's like
Exactly. Exactly.
Hogan was the alpha. Cena's the omega. No
I
pun
can
intended.
see Hogan going heel though, because a lot of these fans, I don't think they're gonna like Hogan as much as they did back then. You got these young guys, these young Japanese men working hard for their pushes, and this old chap comes back and just steals all the spotlight again. I can see
Right.
him going heel again.
Right, right. It'll be cool to see him go heel in Japan again. Maybe do Hollywood Hulk Hogan again or whatever. I don't know.
It's fun watching heels in Japan. Those are my favorites in Japan. Like Jericho in Japan, he's a complete badass. He's over here flipping people off, like, "Who the fuck took me from my locker room?"
I think he called one reporter a fuckface.
Yeah. He's like, "Ask something."
Oh, Jericho's hilarious. So we were talking about Omega, but I want to talk about not Kenny Omega. I want to talk about a different Omega. I want to talk about Omega Chandler. Um,
Okay.
and while we're on these companies outside of the WWE, recently Omega Chandler, coming into the new year, he won the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight, the Ring of Honor Championship. Um, in a good match. I thought the match was good. Not a great match, especially for Ring of Honor standards, but it was a good main event. It's satisfied. It felt more like a WWE match, though, in my opinion.
Right.
Um, so yeah, he won the championship, and I just want to know, since you've been pretty vocal about Omega in the past, do you think this is a good move? What do you think of him as champion? Do you think it helps Ring of Honor, or does it hurt ROH in the long run?
Okay. Well, this is a controversial subject. I used to be good friends with Omega. We had a fall off, and like me, he's got problems backstage, and I think it's only a matter of time before it comes into play. I'm happy for him for his championship win, and I'd like to see where it goes. I think he deserves the chance to prove himself. Now, just give it about a couple months, see what he does with it. I'm going to give him a chance. I think everyone else should give him a chance. Omega could truly be a captivating star over there in Ring of Honor.
Right. personally,
I mean, I'm not a big Omega fan, but I'll give him a chance.
yeah, I'm not a big Omega fan either. When I first met him, he was I don't know. He kind of like it takes a long time for him to evolve over time. Um,
Exactly.
when I first met him, he kind of reminded me of myself when I first started, but obviously, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I evolved way faster than he does. I think when he works with the right people is when he puts on the right matches. He's that kind of guy who you need specific people for him to work with, like with Anthony. When he works with Anthony, he can put on a good
Exactly.
match. Um, his matches in Ring of Honor, they've been good, but I don't feel like they've been on par with former Ring of Honor champions like Jay Lethal and Christopher Daniels and Kevin Steen back when he was in Ring of Honor. So I'm
Hell, even
just
Austin Axis.
yeah, even Austin Axis, his title run was fucking insane. He was one of their most over guys anyway. I don't think Omega could ever be at the level of Austin Axis.
Austin Axis, he was defeating guys like Samoa Joe on regular episodes of Ring of Honor.
Right, he was an absolute beast, and they took a chance with him, and it paid off. But I don't know, Omega, Chandler, if they want to take that chance, that's their prerogative, I guess.
You know, what they need to do is give him a little repackage. I think he's just stuck with the wrong gimmick right now. He reminds me of Bo Dallas. You know, he's that guy who tries to get people behind him, but it just doesn't work out, and it just makes them hate him even more. He should go for that type of gimmick.
Right, and drop that whole being Anthony and Hayden's cousin thing because I don't think that's gonna help him at all. Like, yeah, it's cool to write off of that name recognition, but remember um, Hayden is also Anthony's cousin. But you're not reminded
That's
that.
right.
You're not reminded that unless they feud or if they're in a match together. But with
That's
Omega,
like that's like if The Rock kept mentioning that he's related to Rikishi.
I mean, I think I'm cautiously just cautious about the whole thing. Um,
I am
but
too.
you used to be at Ring of Honor a long time ago before you got hired by um Jim Ross, good old Jr. Jim Ross. So, what was your time in Ring of Honor like? You want to reflect on that, like your whole Ring of Honor run, so to speak?
Well, I've had 3 runs to be technical. I had that first run. I had the part-time run when I was WWE champion. I
Hmm.
would just come over and squash someone. That was it. Uh, my third run, I came back there after I was released, and I worked with Axis during his run. So we'll just go ahead and talk about the first run. It was chaotic. I had to prove myself. I didn't really have a gimmick, so I had to prove myself with my in-ring ability. Um, they liked my in-ring ability. They thought it was fast and explosive, so they put me with Antonio, and that's where it all came crashing down. They thought I was sandbagging Antonio's moves, so they depushed me into the tag division with Rush, which actually worked out for the better. Me and Rush became tag champions, and that led to me getting signed. And Rush got signed way later on, but I feel if I didn't get paired with Rush, I wouldn't have gotten noticed.
So wait. They thought you were sandbagging Antonio's moves.
Yeah, like he would go for a body slam, and apparently I wasn't selling it right. I would just completely flop, you know?
And that's why they pushed you.
Yeah,
uh,
they were really high on Antonio. The Snyders were there at the same time, which was pretty inconvenient for me.
right. And that's when they weren't WWE wasn't trying to hire Allen again because
Yeah, his injury prone ass.
yeah, I still don't know how he got them to do that to hire him back in 2012, but some mysteries you'll never know. I never I never had like personally a run in Ring of Honor. I wrestled there like once or twice, but I never I don't know, I never really spent a lot of time in Ring of Honor. I always heard it was like some of the best wrestling in North America and some of the best
It's like a
wrestling
second
out
home
there.
for me.
Right, right, because you've been there so much for so long.
Hell, I was even head of creative at one point.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Remember when you remember when Jim Cornette was head of creative?
Let's not talk about that.
I mean, good old Jim Cornette. Oh, no one's ever
Oh,
in depth about him. Um, so what was it like working with Rush? Because I know, and just like the parallels between you guys being partners and then you fought each other at the Rumble. So what was it like working beside the British, the gritty Brit? Yeah,
the gritty Brit.
yeah,
Um, See, he was a great partner because he's always been good in the ring. He's only evolved over time, however. As a partner, he challenged me to do better because if I didn't, he was going to outshine me. So I had to wrestle my ass off every time I was in there to try and prove I was the superior tag partner.
right.
And without him pushing me, I don't think I'd have accomplished everything I accomplished today. He's a great wrestler.
Right, and then you worked with him at the Rumble. I think it wasn't last year. I think it was 2 years ago, the 2016
Yeah,
Rumble.
that sounds right.
So what was that like meeting up with him again and working with him? Because you guys put on a pretty good match. It got a lot of praise.
According to Chandler, it was second match of the night. I was very proud of that. Um, Coming back, I was admittedly disappointed that I was being paired in the European title picture. I
Right.
just thought I would be doing something else. However, I didn't complain about it. I took it. I stuck with it. And me and him had a little, not a fight, but disconnection, if you will. We didn't know who was going over. So we were wrestling the match. We didn't know who was going over.
Oh.
So we had to call spots on the spot and talk about who's winning at the same time. So
Right.
he's up there about to do the head, but he's like, "Hey, I'm going over." I roll it the way. No, I'm going over. So he basically cut a promo in my ear while we were walking up, and I was like, "Okay, you're right. Let's put you over." So I
Those
took that
situations
flying
are the best.
headbutt. Yeah, I put him over.
It was a good match. It was a very good match. I didn't expect it to be, as good as it was. Probably didn't have any right being as good as it was, but it was entertaining. I think Rush did like some reverse flash shit. He like ran down the entire ramp for no reason.
That
And
was my favorite spot. I didn't think it would be that good of a spot, but when it happened, the crowd popped so loud.
yeah, you could hear it. It's just like he's running down there and he does like this Superman punch from like 1,000 meters away. It was really, really entertaining. Uh,
I purposely put water in my mouth before that spot actually, so when he barely tapped my cheek, I would spit all the water out to
and it,
oversell them.
right, and it would look like spit and sweat and all that. Yeah, I used to pull that trick
Exactly.
all the time. Whenever I could get a bottle of water, I used to pull that trick. Jerry would always have some at his table, right under the table, right under the table for me. Here you go, pal. And I would just take it, drink it. Someone punched me in the face, and I spin 360 degrees, and water flies out, or fake artificial spit flies out.
Exactly, and we used to do that with blood as well. We would put water enhancers inside of the water, stick it in our mouth, get punched, and we spit it and act like it's blood.
Oh, the secrets of wrestling that people don't really know about. So,
It's the little stuff that makes it great.
right, it is the little stuff that makes wrestling really great because you are putting on a performance, so you just have to do what you can to make it look as satisfying and as real as possible, pretty much.
Exactly.
So, I want to talk about more. Okay, we're back after that abrupt commercial break. Hope you guys like that little advertisement for Shaq Fu Part 2 coming out this year. I love Shaq and I love Shaq Fu. Even though it's a bad game, I still love it. You can love bad games. Um,
Oh,
so now we're gonna get into the more of like the gritty, nitty shoot aspect of this whole interview, which leads into my next question. Backstage, when you first came in, I'm sure you had sure you had quite a bit of fans. And Anthony did a little report. Well, he gave a little synopsis on your career where he covered your career. I don't know if that's ever coming out, but he did release bits and parts of it. Basically, when you first came in, you had a lot of respect coming in. A lot of at least from the higher ups, like the legends, like Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels believed in you a lot. He
Yeah,
he put
good.
a lot of what am I trying to say? Put a lot of stock in you. I almost said tax. He put a lot of stock in you. Um, but over time, things, and I'll go back to Shawn in a minute. But over time, things started to dwindle with you in the locker room, and there are a lot of incidents, a lot of problems. So when do you first start to feel that shift? Like like that when the world was crashing down on you. When did you first start to feel that? Was it in 2014, 2015?
It was 2013 when that started because that was when they finally decided, hey, we're going to give you this huge main event push. So I took the push. I was proud of it. And I ran with it. But when you get that push, it comes with a responsibility. And responsibility, it comes with not only physical, but mental traits that really brings a lot of problems towards you. And you don't become the same person that you once were. Some people can deal with it, some people can't. But you got to get up really early. You got to do all these fan signings, and then you got to travel here, do this, and then you got
Right.
to keep shit regulated in the locker room. It's tiring, and there's a lot of expectations from you when you're in that position. And I would get shit all the time, even from Anthony, like, hey, why isn't this guy on top? Antonio, he doesn't have to say anything. He should be on top.
Right.
You have to deal with criticism like that, and it really takes a toll on you, and it makes you just not want to give a fuck anymore. And that's hard when you're a top face because I have to give a fuck. If I don't give a fuck, then I'm not a face. Simple as that.
Right. Right. It is become different when you're from a mid carder to a bona fide main eventer because there are a lot of people that have strong feelings about who should be on top. Mostly it's they should be on top, which I guess if you're a wrestler, that's probably what everybody wants, to be, the face, the top guy. Um,
Exactly.
so did you see people like start to change alliances and stuff? Like, some people that you thought were your friends were no longer your friends.
All the time. All the time. Alan Snyder, for one, no offense to you. I know he's your father and all, and I
Yeah,
respect.
yeah,
But me and him, we used to be good buds. We used to train together. But he's one of the guys who stopped believing in me. And he's the guy that led Paul Starr to taking my spot, which I'm not mad at him for it. I mostly blame Paul Starr for that. It was him that pushed me out of my position. And it's my own problems too. I'm not saying I didn't earn this position because, yes, I had a lot of issues. I still do to this day. But it's just a part of the sacrifices that, give you to where you're at.
right, right. It's difficult being at the top because like you said, you have to wake up. It's such a harder schedule being WWE champion. Because when I was a champion, I would have to my day would start at 5 in the morning and end at like 3 o'clock in the morning the next day. And I usually got like,
Exactly.
yeah, you usually get like only like less than 6 hours of sleep every night because you have to wake up way early. You have to go do all these media appearances and appear at all these conventions and meet all these fans, which I don't have a problem with. The media stuff I can do without, like going over to interviews like Good Morning America. I can do without that because
Yeah, me too.
I just feel weird as a wrestler appearing on freaking Good Morning America. I don't know why. Even though
The locker room changes as well because when I was on top, we had a bunch of old farts that had to compare with, Hogan,
yeah,
Austin, Rock, Cena. It was easy to evolve over those guys because they were there for so long and it was easy. There wasn't a lot of new characters. But now there's Psycho Matthew. There's, you, of course. There's Hayden.
right.
Jake Carter, and the whole locker room evolves. So then they expect more from you, and you don't realize it until it's too late. I didn't do anything spectacular in the ring. I just went in there and did my technical wrestling. These guys are bringing in all these Japanese moves I've never heard of, and uh, yeah, I couldn't evolve. That's what caused me to crash down.
Right, because it is very competitive because there's new guys coming in basically like every single day, and they all have different styles. They all have different ways of working. And you kind of just have to find which ones you click with, and it does take a while.
Really.
Yeah, it does take a while to find those guys that you can really put on a good match with. Talking about the backstage environment in the locker room has reminded me that on my interview with Paul Starr, which I'm sure you saw, I talked about Vince McMahon when he was in charge of the World Wrestling Entertainment. Is it Federation? World Wrestling Entertainment. Well, what was it? I know Starr says he had a somewhat indifferent experience with Vince, but what was your experience with Vince? Because you were like his golden prospect. You were like his top guy.
But I was.
His example of the future. What was it like working with good old Vinnie Mac?
I love Vince. He was one of my best friends. Now, working with him was more difficult than it sounds because he Paul was right about one thing. Vince is kind of, I don't want to say bipolar, but he changes his mind a lot about people and things. And it was hard becoming his quote unquote golden boy because he was working there from the moment I was there up until that point. And let me tell you, he did not see that in me from day one. He saw me as nothing more than like a tag team specialist, mid card guy. It wasn't until the whole Poelice thing came out and my merchandise sales went up, and that's when he decided, hey, let's push this guy. He can do it. So to sum it up, I think Vince McMahon was a great, great leader that we still need today, and he remains my favorite leader. I mean, I might be a little biased there, but Vinnie Mac's a good guy. He used to take us to hotels. He used to pay for our hotels, give us drinks. Let's not even bring up the hotel from hell situation.
That was quite. I remember Big Show threw someone through. I can't remember who it was. I think he threw the Miz or somebody through a fucking glass panel.
Oh man, me and Hayden fought in a fucking elevator. We were kind of drunk. And Anthony pulled him by his collar. He said, "I'm gonna beat the shit out of you if you ever do that again."
The hotel from hell. Oh, that was my
Oh, it's not.
first time. That was my first time with the rest of you guys in a hotel room because I used to travel
Oh,
with
I'm
the.
so sorry for that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to travel with the NXT guys, but Alan let me travel with you guys for one time since NXT was in the same city, and that was, yeah.
Vince McMahon was kind of drunk that night, and he was flirting with Eve, and it was kind of pissing me off a little bit. At one point, he tried to drag her into the bathroom.
What? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god.
And then let's not forget Brad Maddox, the fucking emo guy of the group. He was just sitting over there alone, feeling
Oh,
sorry for himself.
good old Brad. Oh, good old Brad.
That was a fun night. I wouldn't mind that again.
Yeah, I mean, it was
This
crazy,
times I'm
but.
gonna kick Hayden's ass.
Wonder who Anthony's gonna grab by the collar this time.
Not
Very
gonna be
aggressive,
Chandler.
yeah. Yeah, he's an aggressive guy.
It'll probably be like Jake or Austin Axis for some reason.
Austin Axis. I'm pretty sure he loves Austin Axis. I think he really.
He does, but
Yeah.
as you know, Austin is a package deal with me. If I'm out, he's out.
Yeah. I don't think Anthony likes that too much.
No,
Ah,
he's been very vocal about that.
yeah, he's a vocal guy. So when Vince decided that he wanted to make you the top guy, were you like a little wary about it? Did you feel like you were ready for it, or did you think he was moving too fast?
At the time, I thought fuck yes, I earned this, man. I
Uh-huh.
thought I was ready for it. And I said, hell yeah, I'm on board. I shook his hand, I thanked him, and I tried to do the best I can for it. But in reality, I was not ready. I didn't realize that a clean cut baby face could only stay so over for so long.
Right.
And that's when I had to evolve my character a little bit. And by the time I actually evolved my character to where I was comfortable with it and it was over to an extent, it was too late. I was already down the card. My relationship with people backstage was already in the shitter. Um, yeah, it was just too late.
Too little, too late. Because hindsight really is. I keep saying this. Hindsight really is 2020. You don't really know. You can't really evaluate something until after it's really happened. You can't really look back
Exactly.
until
If
after.
I just evolved a little bit sooner, I would. I'm not saying I'd still be the man, but I would probably still be on top today
Right.
somewhere.
Right. Be somewhere in the main event.
I already know what I should have done. I haven't told many people this, but there was a rumor that I was gonna take over NWO after I beat Hogan, and I wish I'd gone through with it.
I remember that rumor. I do.
It
Yeah.
would have been a great storyline that would have evolved me. But
It would have made you the modern day equivalent of Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Hollywood Zack Poe.
I think
Hollywood. Yeah, I think that would have been something that nobody would have seen coming really because of the build of that WrestleMania match. It was kind of like it's supposed to be like the end of the NWO, and then you're just like, well, no, it's not over because I still got business.
yeah, I'm in control now.
Yeah, still got things to do. I think that would have been a pretty good storyline.
The reason we didn't go through with it is because, well, I'm part of that reason. I thought I would still be as over next year,
Hmm.
and Vince McMahon said, the merchandise sales are coming in too strong. I think this would be bad for business, and Alan agreed with him.
Yeah, at the end, a lot of what Vince cared about was merchandise sales. Allen doesn't care about it as much, but Vince was really big on the merchandise sales.
Yeah, and I was number one in sales at that point, so I see where Vince was coming from.
For a long time too, that entire season, I think. And
I
besides like
was, yeah.
yeah, besides like the first 2 months, or besides that time when The Rock was
Oh yeah, when he
champion.
was champion, he taught me for about a month or two, but then I came right back up.
Right. Like that's one of the longest standing number one spots in the merchandise. I've never been number one in merchandise before, but I have been number three before. It's a good
To
feeling.
be fair, you're a heel. Heels
Yeah.
normally don't do that well.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. Tweeners do really good though. Tweeners do surprisingly good. Like they do really
Right, but they're right there between that shade of gray.
right. And when mm, I just got bacon. Bacon's good, guys. Free bacon advertisement on this podcast. Get buy some bacon. But when I was watching you back in 2014, I'm not gonna lie, I was a pretty big fan because it was like, yeah, it was a little like John Cena, but it was so uplifting and motivating to have
Right.
this guy go against this guy who was kind of just like Anthony Chandler's best friend, because that's what everybody knew you as back then. Anthony Chandler's best friend back in season one, to getting some whack ass gimmick in season two, to now being the face of the company and going against Hulk Hogan and NWO. And I feel like the WWE really needed a leader in that NWO storyline, because there wasn't really like, because Cena was off doing stuff with Paul Starr, so he couldn't really like lead the charge against the NWO. And we kind of already got that with in season one, John Cena versus
Right.
Nexus.
Right.
So I was like, I was on board with it at first, but I just think the opinions of people and the fans changed over time, because they were like, because taste, it's all about taste, man. Like eventually, like remember when all the zombie shows were coming out, people were just got sick of all the zombie shit,
Exactly.
like The Walking
Now,
Dead and all that stuff. Go on, go ahead.
yeah, I'm not big on that show either.
But but I think people's taste kind of just changed, and they wanted something, something different at the top. Someone like AC, or someone like, well, in this case, Paul Starr for season 5.
It was like the transition from Bret Hart's era to Stone Cold's era. They got tired of the clean cut guys, and they wanted someone with some edginess.
Right, basically a character that is able to sometimes bend the rules. Sometimes not play by the book all the time.
Exactly, and it's too bad I didn't take advice. Backstage you would tell me, "Hey, hit this guy with a chair," and I'd be like, "Okay," and I would half-ass it because I truly didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a pure babyface character.
Hit this guy with a chair. Okay. Lightly swings a chair at him.
Yeah, that's what I did with Antonio.
Well, good old Antonio. So,
good guy.
As we talk about things like, reflecting on the past, what would you say was the most bittersweet moment of your career? Like the moment, like it was good, but there's a little bit of a bad taste at the back of your throat.
It would have to be January 2014. I had just beaten The Rock for the title, and I was on top of the world. But the booking was just fucking terrible at that time. Like, for some reason, like a week or two after I won the title, I was facing Road Dogg on Raw for some reason in the main event. And then I randomly beat Road Dogg, and he put me over on the mic. I don't really know what that accomplished, but it didn't really pick up until Starr came back. And that's when it kicked in. I had the world in my hands. I had the title. I had the spot. I had the woman of my dreams. And then there was this guy looking to take all of that from me. And that's when I realized, shit, I got to do something.
So Paul Starr told his side of that story on his interview. So what's your side of that whole Starr versus Poe type deal when Starr came back for the title?
So you just want me to explain what I was seeing in that point of view?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like I've earned the spot that I was in at that time. He came back, and I was partially the reason he came back, mind you. Me and Alan Snyder, we both approached him. So he came back, and the original plan was for me to beat him and become the real champ, and for Starr to just go over and win the world title or something. And I wish we did that, but I freaked out a little bit when we had our match because, okay, Starr never told you guys this, but it was Starr himself who told me that rumor about Matt Hardy. It was Starr himself who told me that Matt was going to screw me over. I was paranoid. I didn't want to lose the title there. So it did end prematurely with Christian running in. And we had that triple threat, which was actually better than I remember. And I was told before the show, you're losing. I was just like, my heart just sunk. I didn't know what to think. Like, really? This guy just came back. I came here and pretty much saved Survivor Series. And now you're telling me you're just going to give that to Paul Starr, who walked out on us. Right. I was pissed. But I took the situation. I tried to make the best of it. I didn't bitch about losing the title. I lost it. Never got it back.
You still main evented WrestleMania, though, so I guess that's
Exactly.
That's a plus right there. That is kind of bittersweet.
It's one of the things that made me chill out about the whole situation.
Right. So did they tell you that they were was Vince like, "Oh, Zack, I'm gonna have you lose the title here, but I will give you a main event match at WrestleMania."
I was happy, but at the same time I wasn't, because I was told who I was working with, and I didn't want to work with Hogan. I wanted John Cena,
right,
to be truthful. But there was nothing I could do about it, so I took it, ran with it. And to this day, I still wish I faced Cena. That would have been a better match.
Yeah, Cena versus... Didn't you guys face each other before? back in
At
2012.
WrestleMania 2.
Right. I don't remember that match at all.
I don't either. I was half drugged out during that match because I had just taken a lot of Xanax to get over my shoulder injury I had in a match with Taker.
Right.
And I don't remember most of it. It was like, it wasn't a bad match, but it was like not a WrestleMania match. It was like a Raw match.
Right.
And it didn't hold it justice.
Should have been saved
And it
for
happened
later.
way too early.
Yeah, it should have been saved for way later on. But booking was way different back then. So
Yeah,
weird.
there was a different creative team.
Yeah, it's completely a little bit off. I think they had like a rock, a literal pebble, win the hardcore title.
They did. It was god awful.
Yeah, very weird. What was the backstage like around that time? What was the environment like?
Okay, I might get some shit for this, but it was a lot more chill back then because, there was a smaller creative staff and
Mm-hmm.
less guys at the top. So they were easily more manipulated. Um, I got along a lot well with the roster back then, despite the quality thinking.
Said the quality of the thinking.
I was pushed way too fast. They booked me to squash Randy Orton in under 30 seconds to win my first WWE title at Money in the Bank.
Huh.
And I held it for a couple months, actually. It was kind of forgettable, but I ended up losing it in an elimination chamber to Coleman. And yeah, then the whole Cena shit happened. And then I was gone for a while. I had to rethink my career.
Well, that kind of started the rise of Hayden Wash or he
Hayden
goes
Storms.
he goes by like 5 fucking different names. So yeah, Hayden Storms. When he came into the WWE, um, Ellen asked Hayden about this in his interview, and I don't know if you saw it, but she asked him if he moved, if he thought that he was being pushed too fast because a lot of people thought his rise to the top of the WWE was too fast. So what do you think? What did you think about Hayden like when he first came in versus him now?
He's a lot better now. I'm not saying he was awful because he could still wrestle, but his character wasn't developed enough to last in the main event. And he was pushed way too fast. The Boogeyman, that was a good start, I guess. But then he was put in a program with Allen immediately after that feud. And it just didn't feel right. And obviously, yes, it was because his father was in control of the creative team. I hate to say it, but I mean, it's because his father was in control of the creative team. Now he completely deserves everything he's getting now. He's improved tremendously, and he's a good champion.
Have you been watching his stuff?
Yeah, I've been watching since he beat Big Show a couple of years back.
Hmm.
I mean, not weekly, but I keep up.
Right. It's kind of hard to
I,
keep
I,
up.
I like his stuff now.
Yeah, I think he's gotten way better. He's got. I mean, I always thought he was good on the mic. I always thought he was a good talker on the microphone.
He was, yeah.
But as a wrestler, he's really getting into his craft. Because I remember he did this match with Allen, this 2-hour match with Allen, and it just like it was 2 hours, but I mean, I just don't remember it being that good. Man.
Yeah, his biggest problem was his gimmick and his build and his attitude.
Right, because if you guys don't know, Hayden carried himself like he was Ric Flair back in, and he wasn't like he carried himself like his shit didn't stink back then. Like
Right.
he was so egotistic. He was worse. He was worse than me when I first came in. He was so egotistical. He was so into himself. Like he was more into himself than I think anyone else probably was.
He was basically the Charlie Sheen of wrestling
The Charlie without the AIDS or with the AIDS.
with the AIDS.
With the AIDS. Oh, good old Charlie Sheen, man. So if things worked out differently, since we talked about that earlier, like let's say you did take the warnings and heed the advice of everybody. Where do you see yourself like in the spot that Hayden would be now? Like, the top guy in the WWE, putting on all these great matches and promos and segments.
I think I would be on the line with Alan Snyder. I think I would be like an icon there right
Right.
now. But um, talking about championships and such, I was actually in the line to beat you for the title
I
back
remember
in
that.
season 6. Was that season 6?
I think that was season 5.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just beat your dad, and then I beat you on Raw. I held the belt up, and then some shit happened backstage, and I was leaving again. And then Drew McIntyre basically filled in my spot and won the belt. I
No,
felt that would have been me.
you're right. That was season 6. You're right, because it was 2015 to 2016. I always look at the years and not the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that really throws me off.
yeah, it gets confusing sometimes. You're right. Well, I remember that because Anthony, I was in a feud with Anthony and Hayden, and they were both well, Hayden was on his way out of the company, and again, and Anthony was on his way to take a hiatus from wrestling to focus on acting and his entrepreneurial stuff, so he could more transition into that backstage role. So he was like traveling overseas and getting deals with New Japan and getting WWE to air on different networks and stuff.
Right.
So they were like, well, if Anthony's not going to win the title, we need someone to be the champion. And since I was already feuding Hayden anyway, and I was Alan's son, because I was during the New Corp storyline, so they were like, well, all right, well, we'll just put the title on my son, Aaron Snyder. So that happened, and I'm glad I won the championship then. I'm not eager to win the championship now, but yeah, we needed somebody else to lead the revolution now that Anthony was gone. And the most logical choice would have been Zack Poe because he was Anthony's best friend. He was in Revolution before he ended it when it got too corrupt. So now it comes full circle because he's leading it now. And
Exactly.
that first Raw after the off season would have been Zack versus me, and he would have won. You would have won the title right there instead of Drew
Now,
McIntyre.
I wish it happened. It would have been a great program. You and me never had a full one-on-one match where we both were invested in it. Like our WrestleMania match, I didn't give a shit, and neither did you. I was on
Yeah,
my way out. I just wanted to take the fall and leave, and you
yeah.
were just not hyped about it.
Like nobody was really. The whole match was just like it was just dead.
I was just like, just fucking fuck me up, pin me. I want to go.
Right. I liked having Austin Access involved. Austin Access involved in that feud because he's a dude. He's a really good talker. Like he's just a good talker. He's a good promo guy. Like even if he sucked in the ring, which he doesn't, you would still be invested in him because he's like his promos are so fucking good and his character is so good.
He's one of those guys who doesn't have to wrestle good in
Right.
order to be great.
He can hit you with a chair and pin you 1, 2, 3 and still be over
That
because.
was pretty much his match with Chad Snyder. That was a pretty bad match.
Oh, the internet loves that match though. It's like a meme on the internet. That match, they love that match.
It was great seeing Chad get his ass kicked, but
Yeah,
the match just ugh.
it was great seeing Chad back at WrestleMania. I mean,
Yeah, that it was like a spectacle thing.
yeah, it was like back in the old days, Chad versus Hogan. Or what was Chad's thing that he kept saying? I body slammed Andre the Giant or something like that. He said something. He used to say this weird
He,
stuff.
I think yeah. Didn't he claim he's the first one to do it?
Yeah, he claimed he was the first one to body slam Andre the Giant. I'm like, you might have some revisionist history going on there, Grandpa, but okay. Have fun with that. Yeah, it was just good seeing Chad back in the ring. Like, I mean, I know he like got squashed, but he was still moving good for a 70-year-old. Like, he
He
was still,
was, yeah.
yeah,
I have a question for you, even though you're the interviewer here.
yeah.
Uh, Austin Axis, after that match and he retired, what was going in your mind?
In my mind, when Austin Access retired, I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to see more of him. Like, I wanted to see him go into the next season or possibly the off season even. Because remember, we used to actually build people during the off season. Um,
Right, like Maven.
I wanted to see him like do big stuff, like do things, um, and do wild stuff, like just like bring his Ring of Honor. I don't know how to explain it. Just bring his Ring of Honor, style of spectacle to the WWE. You know, like I wanted to do a program with him myself. Like I really wanted to have a match with him myself because I felt like our crossover interactions during the build to WrestleMania were gold. And obviously he had a lot to say about me and I had a lot to say about him. And our
Right.
personalities, our characters at the time kind of like clicked. Like, you know, he was egotistical, I was egotistical. We both couldn't stand each other because, you know, we came from different backgrounds. You know, my character was kind of handed everything at the time. The heel
Right.
handed everything. His character earned everything. He came from rough times and fought his way to, you know, become one of the top stars in wrestling at the time. So, you know, I was kind of disappointed in that he retired. I was just like, man, I mean, I thought, you know, if he was going to retire, I thought he would do it at like, you know, after having like a 6-star match at No Way Out or something like that. Like,
Right. Right. I was surprised too. I mean, he told me before, like the day before. I didn't tell him to do it. He wanted to do it because I guess he just didn't have the motivation to do it if I wasn't with you guys.
right.
So he thought if I just get this Mania moment, I'll just retire here.
It was a nice moment for him, I guess, because he beat, you know, the man, the myth, the legend, Chad Snyder at
I mean, he beat
WrestleMania.
a Snyder. It's something, you know.
Right? He beat a Snyder. I think Chad's the only Snyder Maven hasn't beaten.
And Ashley.
Yeah, well, Ashley too. Yeah, and I guess we have to include her now because she was WWE
Yeah, because
champion
back
before.
then women didn't really fight men
Yeah, back then women weren't even like relevant back in Maven's.
at all.
Yeah, in
They'd
Maven's.
wrestle like maybe once or twice a month.
And half of those would be in tag team matches with another guy. So it's just like, um, I'm glad they are where they are now. But Austin Axis, going back to Austin Axis. So were you kind of like the guy who got him in to come to WWE, or did Alan, or was it Alan or Anthony that went and met with him and got him to sign with the World Wrestling Entertainment?
Well, you're going to be surprised by this answer, but me and him, I mean, we've always been cool, but we weren't like brothers until he came to the company. It wasn't Alan because, as you know, Alan cannot scout to save his life. I believe it was Anthony Chandler who scouted him. Anthony Chandler and Jim Ross kind of approved him.
Right.
He came in. He did a couple different gimmicks before one finally clicked. He did regular Kyle Moore, which was all right. He did Kyle Ambrose, the brother of Dean Ambrose.
Hmm.
And then he went to the Indies. He finally got his gig, and then he came back, and that's how he built the guy we know today. So I had nothing to do with his success or him coming here. That was all him. He's gone through a lot of crap in his life.
He's a really steadfast man. There.
He sure is. He's a great guy. He struggled with poverty, poor household. He struggled with drug addiction, depression. Um, he overcame all that to get to where he was. It's a great story.
Good old Austin Axis. I do mean it when I say I was disappointed when he left because I don't know, like I felt like, you know, he still had more in him, you know, but you know
Oh, he did.
it's his career. So if he was feeling demotivated, like I said with Paul Starr, if you don't feel like you want to do this, there's no reason you shouldn't. There's no reason you should do it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
there's
I
no
think that's
reason
why
you
I
should
kept
do it.
leaving all those times. I didn't feel the motivation I once had.
Right.
So
That's
I just
that's just how it is. Like, you know, when you when you feel demotivated, you know, like you don't want to disappoint the fans, so you rather just, you know, take a break or walk away from it. Because if you're demotivated, then the fans are going to see that in your matches, and you know, it's not going to translate well. Now they're paying money to see, you know, stupid stuff now.
yeah, I can't stand that. You know, and the mental what's the word I'm looking for? Altercations. mental
Yeah,
altercations,
yeah,
and that it takes on you. It really sticks with you, and every time you come back, you start remembering what it was like to be that stressed, and
right,
you just want to get away from it.
right. And that's, everybody goes through that because, wrestling is taxing. It's really taxing. A lot of people quit because of the travel schedule, and how much you have to be on the road.
I hated the travel schedule, but I stuck with it.
Right. Sometimes one of the things you kind of just have to, one of the things you kind of just have to deal with. Now,
Exactly.
now here's a segment I wanted to do with Paul Starr, but I kind of forgot to do it. Um, I wanted to do the asshole jar, and basically the
Oh, here we
asshole
go.
jar. Basically, the asshole jar is when I name off a couple of guys, and you tell me whether they
Kevin
were
Nash did one of those.
Kevin Nash. uh,
Basically, you name off a name, and I say whether or not he's an asshole.
yeah, whether or not he's an asshole or not, and I'm just gonna throw out a couple names. So, starting off with CM Punk,
Good guy, not an asshole.
Elis,
Too generous. He's not an asshole. He'll let you step all over him.
uh, Ashley,
Asshole sometimes.
hmm, uh, Jake Carter,
An asshole, but a lovable asshole.
Hayden,
An asshole.
Seth Rollins,
He used to be an asshole, but he's a good guy now.
Matthew,
Not an asshole.
Allen.
Asshole. Biggest asshole on the list.
Allen! Everyone loves Allen. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He's a good guy. His character's an asshole, though.
Yeah, that's true. Kevin Owens.
Great guy. Great guy.
Shawn Michaels.
Really put me on the spot here. He's in and out. Like he can be an asshole, but he's basically my mentor and he's helped me out a lot. So
Shelton Benjamin.
asshole.
Maven.
Amazing guy. I love working with him.
Paul Heyman.
Great advocate. Love him. Not an asshole.
Brock Lesnar.
Asshole.
Paul Starr.
Complete dickhead.
Chris Colvin.
Almost as big of an asshole as Paul Starr, but not quite there.
Whew. John Cena.
Great guy. Great guy.
Roman Reigns.
He's cool. He stays to himself.
Wade Barrett.
Asshole.
Triple H.
Asshole.
Dolph Ziggler.
A workhorse. Good guy.
Good old JR Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, throw me off there. They're both great guys.
Me.
Asshole. Like a
Thank
lovable
you.
asshole.
Thank you. I take pride in being a lovable a-hole. It's my favorite. My favorite trait of mine. Shane McMahon. What about Shane O'Mac?
Amazing guy. Amazing guy.
I love Shane McMahon, man.
I do too. I've had a few drinks with him before. He's a fun guy.
He taught me how to moonwalk. Yeah, that's what
That
Grace
sounds
memory
fun.
of him. Yeah, moonwalking is fun. It hurts your feet sometimes, but I don't know. I don't know how MJ did it so much, but he did it.
I do that on kitchen floors, but that's it.
I do it on dance floors and all that partying and stuff.
I gotta see that.
So that's hope nobody's offended by that. That whole segment right there. It is what it is. Everybody has their opinion on people.
That was a fun segment.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, right? So
That's kind of like the whore segment I did.
the what segment?
Hoe bag, not
Oh,
whore.
the Poe bag. Oh, I remember that. The Poe bag. Yeah. You can't degrade women in 2017. I'm 2018, man.
You could do it in 2014, but not
Right?
now.
Right? The times have changed so much. Oh my God. Wow. So, my next question. Oh, we were talking about bittersweet moments and stuff. So, if you ever did come back to the WWE, what kind of people would you look at to fight in a match?
Well, I want guys that'll not try to bury me every second. So Anthony Chandler's like a future thing, but not until I'm ready.
Right.
Um, Jake Carter's a guy I want to work with because he's one of my best pals. I'd love to face Psycho Matthew because me and him, nobody knows this. We have a good relationship backstage, and I feel like he would help me become relevant again. I'd like to work with him.
The Psycho
Uh,
Clan.
Dolph Ziggler, absolutely Dolph Ziggler. Me and him could put on a damn spectacle. I'd love to work with Dolph Ziggler.
I love Dolph Ziggler. I remember I worked with him once, but it was actually a really good program working with Dolph. I definitely want to work with him again because we had a good.
Yeah, he's really evolved.
Yeah, he does. He's evolved. He's still evolving, which is the weird thing. Like he's still improving.
It's almost inhuman, like how Paul Starr evolved a little bit, which is another guy I'd like to face, just because I feel like there's a lot of tension we need to get rid of in the ring. We need to
Right.
prove that me and him can put on a good match. Me and him have never had a good match, really.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I really wanted to go into that again. That whole heel turn. That heel turn. Is that are those are your guys like Ziggler, Jake Carter, Anthony Chandler? What about Hayden?
Oh, dude, how could I forget Hayden? I would love to work with him because we've been trying for years, but I can't seem to stick around long enough to make it work.
To get a match with the good old Hayden saxophone, Hayden
And
Stormsophone.
the biggest problem with that is I don't think me and him can agree on who's going to go over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be chaotic. It's going to have to take months and months of planning beforehand.
Right. It is. A lot of people don't understand that. When you're a wrestler, you kind of always want to go over, like just subconsciously. Like you always want to win every match you're in. You would rather have it that way. You wouldn't complain.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I put over a lot of people, but there's just some people I need to get the last laugh.
Right, right. That's how I feel with a lot of feuds. Just like I feel like even when I'm at home, I'm like, oh, I would feel better if I got the if I got the last victory in this, if I had the last word. I feel like maybe it's my natural heel stuff. I don't know, but yeah, a lot of people just don't realize that. Like a lot of people think it's like egotistical to think that you should go. Like sometimes it is. Like sometimes but you got to look at it from that person's perspective sometimes because
Exactly.
as a wrestler, you kind of want to protect your character, as much as you can.
It's tough because if you're the one losing all the time, what are you supposed to promo about?
Right, right. Like I love like you could promo about matches you won 5,000 years ago, but eventually it's just like
That's what I'm doing every time I come back. And obviously, it's not working because
right.
it's not credible.
It's kind of just like um I don't know. It's just kind of weird, It's just it's weird being a wrestler. Is what I'm trying to say. It's very weird being a wrestler. Uh, when I fought Hayden in the main event of Raw, um, we couldn't really decide who should go over because it was my first match back, and at the same time, um, Hayden was WWE champion. That was like his first really big title defense was against me in the main event of Raw, and we put on a hell of a match, but we couldn't decide who should go over. So, at the last minute, I guess it was Allen or somebody sent AJ Styles out there, and AJ had the match end in a no contest, and then Daniel
That's kind
Bryan.
of like how Christian ran in on me and Star.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's almost exactly like that, except we weren't cutting promos on each other as we were fighting in the match.
Right?
But but then he sent Dolph Ziggler out there, and there was a big thing with Ziggler and AJ left with the title. So yeah, sometimes it happens a lot more than people realize that we don't know who's, especially in these big main event matches. We sometimes don't know who's winning the matches. We plan it in the middle of. We usually plan it in the middle, like while we're calling the spots, where like we get told by the referee, or we just plan it together. And we should go over, and then
And
we
there's
tell
those
them.
rare occasions where you have a little thing in our ear.
Right, that little microphone piece that nobody sees. And somehow it doesn't pop out of our ear when we're fighting each other. It's like magic.
Yeah, who the hell invented that?
All right, probably Vince Russo. Anyway,
Yeah, and himself.
anyway, when you were working, because we just talked about who you would work with, but when you were working in the WWE, who were your favorite guys to work with? Like, who were your favorite people to have matches with, or promos with, or just hang with in general?
Um, Backstage, it's hard to hang with anybody anymore, but I really love hanging with CM Punk. He's a nice guy, he's misunderstood sometimes. Uh, Favorite guys to work with, definitely Shawn Michaels and Chandler. I always wanted to do a program with Brock, the technical Brock, not the powerhouse Brock. I always thought me and Brock could do something special. We never really got the chance.
Right.
He squashed me on Raw once, but that's about it.
Wait, didn't you? I can't remember. Was it? I think it was Big Show you beat on Raw before.
I did during his huge ass
Yeah.
build.
Yeah, I remember. I kept thinking it was either Brock or Big Show. Yeah, now I know that it's Big Show. I think it was like by a roll up or something like that.
It was, yeah.
That was big. That whole Big Show thing was like the biggest thing in the company.
Huge victory at that time. Nobody beat Big Show.
Yeah, you're like the first person to do it until like Hayden came along, or
Yeah,
Jack Swagger with the Money in the Bank briefcase. But Hayden was really the first person to actually like do it clean.
right. Put him down for good.
Yeah, like clean. So, and now Big Show is the general manager of Raw now. But uh, who are your least favorite to work with though? Your least favorite to have in a match or a promo?
Um, Probably Chris Coleman. Mike Wise. There's just nothing there, you know. I think to this day he still doesn't have his character figured out, and I know he tried for the whole Brock Lesnar Rhino thing. I wasn't really high on that. That's why I don't like working with him. He still has to figure himself out. But least favorite in the ring, Paul Starr, because there's so much egos going into it, and me and him can never really click because there's so much egos going into it, and it just doesn't translate into a good match. We need a third guy there to make it work between me and Paul.
Have Alan just sitting at ringside. I want to talk about Paul Starr because in my interview with him, he had a lot to say about you. So
Yeah, I can tell.
what did you think about his comments? You know, about the heel turn situation and just working with you in general.
I mean, some of the stuff he says is absolutely right, but I feel like he leaves some of that stuff out when he's talking about it. Like he didn't tell nobody that he was the one that said Matt Hardy was coming out. What uh, yeah, Paul. He makes me lose my mind sometimes. I'm telling you. I'd love to work a 5-star match with him one day, but I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
So what was with that whole heel turn situation back in 2015?
Oh yes, the heel turn. Let me get to that. The heel turn. Uh, I was losing overness as you know. I took a month or two off. I signed with TNA after I beat Kane, but then the WWE bought out TNA, which led to them getting my contract as well. So I kind of unintentionally slithered my way back into the company, and I needed a program, so I slipped with Coleman and AC, and that whole feud killed my confidence. You know, it killed my confidence as a babyface because Paul Heyman completely ripped me one night, and I just didn't know what to say to him. I froze up for the first time in God knows how long, and it really tore my confidence as a babyface. So after that match, I decided, you know what, I'm pissed off. This guy's more over than me. Let's turn me heel. And he said, okay, attack me. So I attacked him, and I didn't think about it beforehand, which is what my downfall was. I didn't think about my character. I was a heel. I was a heel. That was my gimmick. You know, there's nothing more to it. That was the problem. So Paul completely ripped me that whole feud, and he didn't try during our match, and I feel like he buried me more than I buried him.
Hmm.
If I had just thought about the character a little bit more, it could have worked.
The
But
whole yeah, that was I'm sorry, I keep getting my time like this. That was 2014. That was when I think at the same time I think that was like around the last time you, Coleman, Chandler, and Star were all on the same show together, I believe.
it was, yeah,
Yeah, because
it's crazy.
Anthony was working with Chris Coleman around this. I think it was at the same time or around the same time, and that's when Chris Coleman was turning more into that Brock Lesnar type character,
Right.
which was kind of weird because Lesnar was getting his big push at the time too. So that was kind of weird to see.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like it. Lesnar overshadowed him.
Right? It was Chris Coleman's. You're right. He just needs to kind of like find his stick. You know, find what makes him work. I liked his stuff recently though. In 2016 and 2017, I think he did a good. Was it 2017? No, 2016. I think he did a pretty good job working with Ricky Davis back in 2016. They had an interesting feud. Uh, Chris Coleman almost broke his neck or whatever, but yeah, um, I liked Coleman's stuff. Uh, there's not a lot of guys that I don't like to work with. There's more guys I like to work with than guys I don't,
Right.
because like I said earlier, you kind of just have to find who you click with, who you really work good with. The guy that makes you like hmm the guy that makes you he brings the best out of you. Like whenever for some reason whenever Del Rio used to face Allen, that's when Allen started to get more technical, and Del Rio would bring out the best of Allen. You know,
That's what Rush and Chandler both do with me.
yeah, just someone that brings out the best in you, brings out your true potential.
Exactly. Now that's why I don't like working with Paul. I mean, I hear nothing but good things about him, but whenever he steps in the ring with me, he just doesn't try at all.
Hmm.
And then he'll blame me for the match. I don't know. It's a little frustrating, to
Yeah, it
say the least.
happens. It happens. There's some guys you just, like, you always hear about them, like how good they are, and when you face them, you're just like, really, like, uh,
I mean, if he gave me my best, we could knock it out of the park, guaranteed.
right, like, talking about Paul Starr, did you ever feel like they were like there was always like this game with playing favorites? Like I know backstage sometimes there's guys who are like, John Cena gets special attention. John Cena gets, treated specially, or not recently though, but like just like playing favorites, like back in school, like the teachers' pets and all that.
Oh yes, yes. That's always a major factor because the teachers' pets always the ones they're trying to push, you know, because they're high on those guys and they don't want to lose those guys. Um, when I was on top, I wouldn't say I was a teacher's pet. I mean, they were high on me, but I fought backstage more than anybody else. I was still the enemy, if you will. I had to fight for my spot. You know, it was never given to me. Favorites are always a factor. Backstage politics, it'll never die. That's just how it is.
Right. That's just, like I said before, it's just like sometimes you have to do backstage politics to, get basically food on the table, because it is a competition backstage. It really is. The higher you get, the more money you get, and I hate to say it, but money is important. So that's just how the world works.
I mean, I can't remember the last time I've used backstage politics. I've always just casually landed in that spot. I used it. I tried to use it with Paul, but I already knew I was going over. So why do I need politics if I'm going over? If that makes any sense.
Right, right.
I could have beaten Alberto Del Rio for the world title once, but good guy Zack, I insisted he goes over.
Reverse backstage politics. The
I do
reverse.
that more than people think.
Now, on that world heavyweight title, what was your favorite? what was your favorite reign of you personally, and then your favorite reign of whoever else, like your favorite world title reign of all, not just the world title, but the WWE title too.
Wow. Okay. I'll start with me. My favorite title run. Uh, God, I've never had a good title run. That's really depressing. I guess my favorite was my last one when I won a Survivor Series, even though that reign was pretty mediocre to say the least. Um, favorite WWE champion. God damn. There's a large history with that belt. And if I had to choose one, I'd have to give it to Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett. I really like Barrett. He seems so dominant. I love the dominance of Wade Barrett.
The
I
world
loved him.
looks to me. He had a good theme song at that time too.
He did. World heavyweight, Batista, hands down.
The animal,
Love the Animals run. Matches out of the ass every time.
the mammal Dave Batista. That's what I call him now. The mammal,
The mammal.
because
That works.
he's above an animal. He's just an absolute beast now. So wait, we just call him
That's
beast. We just call him. Why am I calling him a mammal? I just call him a beast. I'm stupid
Is that what they
sometimes.
do now?
I don't know. I call him the mammal. I don't know what they call him. They probably call him the Big D Batista. I don't know. But why? How come you never worked with Batista? Because I know you guys crossed paths like in the Elimination Chamber that one time. You guys had like a finisher rivalry going on.
It's just always wrong timing. He's always on SmackDown. I'm always on Raw.
Yeah, SmackDown's kind of like Batista's home.
Yeah, we're just not put in the same lane. So we pretty much get the I don't know what the word I'm looking for. But me and him are never on the same lane is what I'm trying to say.
Right, right. It is a lot of circumstance because especially with the brand split, it's hard to just work with whoever you want because the only time you can come together is during the crossover shows and the cross brand shows.
Exactly. I would have worked with him if I had my title run, but that didn't happen.
Unfortunately, timing is everything. Unfortunately,
There was already a match plan with Jericho at the Rumble that year between me and him.
which year?
Uh, during my last title run, right after I ran it, excuse me, won it. Right after I won it, it was planned for me to face Jericho at the Rumble.
Wow, that would have been a big match.
Yeah, yeah, I was looking forward to it. I've never beaten Jericho.
I love Jericho. He's a good guy.
Fun human being.
Sometimes, anyway. So, matches with Jericho would have been good, but what's your favorite, like, of the matches you've had? What's your favorite, like, all-time match?
Um, Probably WrestleMania 3 with Chandler. It's between that and Michaels at Backlash, but I feel that WrestleMania 3 had a cooler conclusion and more of a story behind it than Michaels.
Right, right. You and Michaels never really had that kind of feud yet.
I mean, it
That,
still had a story, but not quite like Chandler's.
right, right. Shawn Michaels. I was gonna ask about Shawn Michaels earlier. Yeah, I can still ask about Shawn Michaels. I think. So he was sort of your mentor when you first came into WWE. He was sort of the guy who, guided you. What was it like, just like knowing Shawn Michaels and having him train you and just learning from the Heartbreak Kid?
Knowing him alone gave me so much credibility coming into it, and learning from him helped me evolve faster than I should have. Um, like when I first came in, I rode off the coattails of DX,
Mm,
and I got a lot of eyes on me. Um, that led to me almost winning the ECW championship a month into my career. Actually, not a lot of people remember that. Uh, yeah, Michaels, he's a great guy. Me and him don't talk anymore, but I'm thankful for him and everything that he's done. I would love to work with him one last time.
The Heartbreak Kid. And did you see his match with? Well, did you see what happened with him and Dolph Ziggler on Raw? Because that's been a hot topic.
I saw it, and it's one of the greatest matches I've seen in years.
It was the ending was really emotional. Shawn Michaels versus Dolph Ziggler.
The dude's old, you know.
Yeah, he's old. He is old. He he can still go though for an old guy. Like
Old man.
he
That's
can
no
still
question.
take it. Yeah, he can still take it. I love Shawn. My match with him was. I wish I could go back to it. I just loved working with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. I think that's when you were, was that match when you were in the crowd and then you snuffed me in the face?
That was SummerSlam.
That was SummerSlam when you decked me in the face.
Yeah, but I did come out, and I think I hit you with a time paradox after you won.
Yeah, it was fun working with him, fun working with the Heartbreak Kid. I learned a lot from him. He gave me a lot of pointers, and we traveled on the road together a lot during that feud for some reason. You usually don't travel with guys you feud with, but I don't know. He wanted me to travel with him.
He trolls too much sometimes.
What do you mean by that?
Like he'll randomly troll you while you're wrestling and just completely out wrestle you on purpose,
Catch you
and
off
then
guard.
he'll just fucking embarrass you on Raw. Like remember when he was feuding Allen,
Yeah.
and then he was pretty much burying him with Triple H. Triple H
Yeah.
was playing Adam Snyder, and Shawn was playing Alan Snyder. He was like, "Shut up, Alan. No, you shut up, Alan." That was a funny segment.
Oh god, a lot of funny segments, like that segment with you and Vince, and I think it was Jericho, and Vince super kicked the highlight reel, the Titantron.
Did he let out a big scream before he did it?
Yeah. Oh, that
I
was
didn't think he
funny.
could stretch that far.
I didn't think he could either. God, dude, he's jacked for a 70-year-old though.
That was a picture perfect super kick.
Oh, especially for Vince, the guy who can barely deliver a stunner, but can deliver a super kick.
God, that was hilarious.
Now I wanted to go back to all these interviews we've been talking about, like the interview Ellen did with Hayden, and the interview I almost forgot my own name. I did with Paul Starr. And in his interview, Hayden said that he said, and I quote, if it wasn't for Zack being push hungry, I would probably have multiple world titles right now. So what do you
Paul
think
Starr
about?
said that.
Oh no, Hayden said that. My bad.
Oh, Hayden. I don't know what to say because honestly, Hayden's attitude has been another problem for him as well. He's done a lot of bullshit like I have. He's had a lot of problems with drugs. He's had problems with women. He's had problems with creative, and that's what led him to not having as many world titles as he should have. I mean, sure, I was pushed ahead of him, but Hayden wasn't even in line to take my spot. Those were Matthew Ayler, Paul Starr, Antonio Snyder. Hayden wasn't even in the question.
Wow.
That's what I have to say to that.
Oh, well, there's a lot of yeah, I do know that Matthew was being, if it didn't work out, it was either Matthew or it was between
It was him or Antonio.
yeah, Matthew or Antonio, because I remember
I was behind Antonio the most, though. I really loved his character.
yeah, I remember he was supposed to get a world title match at WrestleMania 5, I think.
The plan was for me to get the belt back, and I insisted on dropping it to him at a pay-per-view, but that never happened.
Yeah, Antonio's schedule was a little weird, like
The UFC and everything.
yeah, just kind of it's always hard to book around that. I told him to quit UFC, but he doesn't want to quit UFC. He likes fighting, so I'm just like, okay, well, I mean, you wanna, because UFC, it's real. I know I hate to say it, but it's like it's more real. You get hit in the head so many times, hit in the face, and you're actually bleeding and all that. It's just like,
Yeah, it's rough.
yeah, well, damn. Like, I mean, just look at Roger Clint. I mean, he's out there. Every match he has, someone's bleeding, and every match he has.
That's why he was a part-time wrestler.
Yeah, because like it's so again it's so taxing. Just first being a wrestler, but just imagine being a UFC guy.
Oh, I mean, trust me, I know everything about it. You may know this, but I have MMA experience myself, and I've
Yep.
sparred in a couple fights. Um, I learned from Eve's ex-boyfriend, Royce. What was his name?
Yeah, I think it's like Renner, someone like that.
Yeah, yeah. I learned from her ex-boyfriend, and he's really good with fighting and whatnot. It's Renner. Yeah, Renner.
Yeah.
Yeah, Renner Gracie, I believe. I learned from him a lot, and he taught me a lot of stuff while they were together. It's kind of ironic that I'm married to his girlfriend now, but so it's safe to say me and him don't talk anymore. He actually challenged me to a fight a year ago, a professional fight.
What the hell? Was he butthurt?
He was very butthurt, and he wanted to make money off of it. I declined because I don't like to fight. I just don't enjoy it like Antonio does.
Yeah, I mean, him and Roger are going at it in UFC right now, and the problem is that they fight a lot more than most people. Like they're fighting at like at least 10 UFC events a year, and there's some guys like there's some like main event guys who only fight like once or twice a year, and they're fighting like 10 times a year on these cards.
Right. They have more vulnerability, well, less vulnerability than other fighters.
Right, like I mean, I'm just like I mean, it's okay to work UFC, but I feel like Antonio kind of just like he enjoys it way he enjoys it way too much. Like when him and Anthony would get into arguments at family dinners, they would just start like tussling, like, and they would just start like flipping each other and getting each other in these Kimura locks and stuff. I'm just like, what the heck are you guys doing?
I can't handle it. It's a shame Rogers' fight with Connor got canceled.
Yeah, I mean,
Connor signed that contract, so he can't really fight
yeah,
now.
sign,
Not as often, at least.
sign the big contract with Fallon.
That would have been a good fight. Who'd your money be on?
What, Roger and Connor?
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know.
tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one to pick because it could go either way if you ask me.
I got to go for Roger simply because he's just a bigger guy. He would be practically a heavyweight losing weight. So think about all that power that's going to go into that.
Right, and Connor, if Connor could hit that left hook, you could probably get him.
He's a little quicker.
Yeah, Connor's quicker on his feet. He could do more of the mental talking while he's fighting you. Play those mental games.
Oh, the press conferences would be crazy between them. Connor would be talking all this shit, and Roger just stares at him.
Entertaining, very entertaining. Roger's press conference with Antonio are pretty entertaining on their own. So I can't wait for. I think this is gonna be their third fight.
Yes, this is their tiebreaker.
Yeah, their tiebreaker fight. I remember when Roger first beat Antonio and how salty Antonio was. He's like, I gotta get him back. I gotta get him back, Aaron. And that's when Roger was just coming back into the WWE, and Antonio walked up to Al and he said, "Don't let Roger Clint anywhere near me until I got it by win against him." And then when he beat him the second time, Antonio was like, "Okay, it's all cool."
He's so over dramatic when he fights Roger. He like starts spitting blood on purpose, even though there's not that much blood in his mouth. He's like, look at this.
Antonio, when he's UFC, he still has that wrestling mindset when he's in UFC.
Yeah. He gets a little hard headed when he's fighting.
Yeah, he still has that whole theatrical side of wrestling, which of course is the best side of wrestling because I wanted to ask you with all these changing wrestling styles, like a guy like you're not really into all the flips and the high risk moves and all that. So, why do you think that kind of style is kind of just like not wouldn't fit for the main event scene of WWE?
I mean, personally, I think it would fit. I mean, it's just the fact that different fan bases like different type of styles. Like the indie scene, obviously, they love the guys who flip.
Mm-hmm.
But the WWE, they realize that, flipping, just because you can flip doesn't mean you can wrestle. You gotta mix that in a little bit.
Right.
Uh,
You gotta know how to talk.
exactly. You gotta know how to wrestle too. Like I can flip, I just don't do it very often. I can do a moonsault. I did a shooting star pile driver on Punk once. That was too risky.
Right.
Almost got banned.
It's a CM Punk. CM Punk will take any
I'm
kind of
surprised
bump.
Punk let me did that.
Yeah, he would. As long as it's from Allen Hills, he's probably chillax with the bumps.
Yeah, because I could break his neck and he'd probably beat the hell out of me for it.
If he could walk, yeah.
Yeah, true, true. Quick as Stone Cold.
Oh yes, Stone Cold. A lot of problems with his neck after that botch pile driver with Owen Hart. That was really.
Too
He,
damn bad.
yeah, he was still. He's like Allen. He's like my dad. He was still wrestling, but it was just like it was tougher and it was harder to do it. And once that happens, you're running on a timetable. You got a limited time.
Speaking of the hearts, I'm actually going to the Heart Dungeon this month. I'm gonna graduate from the Heart Dungeon just to say that I did it. And I'm a big fan of Bret Hart. It's gonna be wonderful to work with the Hart family.
Oh yeah, Bret Hart is gonna. I heard he's gonna be appearing on the Raw 25th anniversary.
Yeah, I heard that too. I'm very happy for him. He deserves it.
What about Tyson Kidd?
Um, what do you mean? Like, should he appear?
No, like have you worked with him in this little Hart school of schools?
Oh, yeah, yeah. He's the guy I wrestle there the most. Because he's the young one and he can still go. And he's really good at what he does. It's a shame he didn't get that ECW World Title run he was supposed to get when he won the Money in the Bank. It would have been an awesome run.
Yeah, ECW was I didn't go there that much. ECW I've never been about the hardcore style of wrestling. Never really been about it.
Me neither. Me neither. And that's one of the things I really take apart of my character because there's some fans that just want to see me beat someone with this object, and I just usually won't do it.
Yeah, it's just like it just gets, it's like, well, you've seen a lot of it already. You've seen enough of it, in my opinion. Like, just the hardcore style, it's just, after a while, it gets stale. After a while,
It does.
it's too slow. It's too slow getting from one spot to the other. It's like, ugh.
I don't know why your dad, when he came back in 2012, he took on a hardcore style he didn't do back in the 90s and 80s.
Right?
What is wrong with you, old man? You were dead for 15 minutes clinically.
Right.
Then you go out there and you start sawing people's heads and falling off a cell twice. And freaking explosive matches in Japan.
Oh,
That
Alex.
man is insane.
He is insane. He's not, he's you know even talking to him, he's just like, he does it apparently, he likes to do it, to give the fans the best match possible, but it's like you can't give him the best match if you're dead, like.
Exactly. I am never working with him in a hardcore match ever again. Last time we did that, he literally took a saw and started sawing my head. I believe it was on a pre-show too. That was the worst part.
What pre-show?
It might have been, or maybe it was just an off-season event. I forget. One of the two. Season 4 pre-show? No, maybe 5. I don't know. It was an off-season event, I believe. And he took a saw and he just started sawing my head. And then he took me. That finisher he does where he does the whole backflip.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called now. This, not Wayward Soul Slam. It's the
Yeah,
dang.
I forget too.
Yeah, the flip bottom. The flip bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. He did that to me. You know what he did to Brett at WrestleMania? What he did off the top of the stage.
Oh yeah. Oh my
He
god.
did that to me as well, and I don't know how Brett took that bump. It was awful.
I thought Brett was gonna die.
I did too. God damn, we got to give that man a second stroke.
I'm like, you already know what happened with Goldberg, Alan. Come on now.
Uh, that's
Jesus.
just insane.
Well, so what do you think about Allen in general? Because I know when I first told Punk I was doing this podcast, he wanted to know what you because he's having another one of his beef with Allen. So he
Uh,
he just wanted to know what you thought about it. He's like, ask Zach what he thinks about Allen.
Allen, huh? Okay. Well, honest opinion, he's a legend whether we like it or not. Uh, I wish he didn't get so much spotlight on him as some of the other guys. With all due respect to him,
Mm-hmm.
uh, me and Alan aren't getting along much. We only get along when people are getting along with me. I feel like he doesn't form his own opinions on people sometimes. He's one of those guys that he sees the way someone reacts to somebody else, and he'll do the very same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason alone, he's the reason I'm not appearing on Raw 25. So
Oh, so oh yeah, that's right. You were gonna appear on Raw 25,
yeah, until Alan Snyder.
biggest Raw well ever, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. He didn't want me on the show, so.
So
And
what?
he's always hated me since I got a main event push. Before then, it was, oh, you deserve it. You deserve it. And then I got the push. Hey, I think we should push somebody else.
Allen. Oh, so you guys. So when do you guys have your like falling out? Like, has it always been that way?
Um, Not exactly. We were training buddies for the first 3 seasons or so. And season 4, it's where a lot of egos clashed. And I was in a bigger spot at that point. That's kind of where it clashed. And of course, he bought a large stock of the company, and it was in his possession now. So his viewpoint of the WWE didn't involve me at the top, and that kind of led to us splitting apart a little bit.
So basically, when he was shifting into his creative position, he didn't exactly see you and his of how he viewed WWE should be.
Exactly. But when he was just the wrestler, he was cool about it. He gave me tips. Uh, but it was in his possession now. He wanted to make the company the best he could, and I just wasn't in that view of his.
Well, you did come back and work with him at Backlash. That match got a pretty good reception.
Oh yes, that's right. I did. It was a fun match where he didn't saw my head. It was a good match. I think he took the cheap way out of that match though, because keep in mind it was an Iron Man match.
Mm-hmm.
I let him pin me to start off the match, and then towards the end of it, he hit me with a chair so that he could tie us up instead of letting me get a pin. I was like, okay, I could just pin you. It's like, no, let me hit me with a chair. And then I had to beat him within 2 seconds left on the clock. He kind of took the cheap way out of that match there.
It
Like,
was
couldn't put me over there clean, buddy.
yeah. Iron Man matches are I like them because you can kind of put someone over without putting them over.
Exactly. That's kind of what he did.
Yeah, it's kind of like it is. It is. Whew, frog in my throat. It is. Uh. I lost my train of thought. I got a frog in my throat. Whew. Okay.
Don't die.
Get Rene Dupree out of my mouth. Hold on a second. Ugh. All right. There we go. Yeah, it is kind of difficult. Yeah, sometimes it is kind of difficult working with Alan because I remember he had problems with Seth during our WrestleMania match, and
I heard about that.
yeah, like I said, I didn't know who was winning. I just knew they were arguing about who was going over. So when I was in that casket, just typing on my scrolling through scrolling through my Twitter feed, I heard Seth Rollins' music hit, and I was just like, I started pounding the casket, trying to get out to celebrate. And these guys had to
Was it
pull me
locked?
out. Yeah, it was locked. Like it was literally locked because there was like an opening.
Oh,
There was an opening
I'd
on
be
the side
freaking
of the
out.
casket. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of claustrophobic, but
I am too.
gotta do what you gotta do. So
That must
these
have been a great experience.
WrestleMania,
Yeah.
yeah, main event in WrestleMania. I was like, but now I know how Zack feels.
I was very happy for Seth Rollins. if you remember correctly, I tweeted for Seth to win the match.
Yeah,
Oh, on
a lot of people wanted Seth. They thought it was Seth's time. I personally
it was
wasn't
just
expecting. I wasn't expecting to go over at all.
wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean, Seth's he's like my best friend, and I was pushing for him to, because when we started our tag team, I always was like, this should end with you going over me.
Right, you didn't think he'd beat your dad.
Yeah, I was like, well, if we're doing this triple threat match, 'cause, there was a whole thing with, there was a whole thing with, Anthony was actually trying to have Kenny Omega, take on Seth Rollins at WrestleMania,
Hmm,
and I would be,
interesting.
yeah, I would be taking on Allen, but I thought it was
I
too early for me and Allen to have, our WrestleMania match. I don't know
think the
why.
triple threat was a good way to go with it,
Yeah, I thought the triple threat was way better. I was just like,
and it put him over tremendously.
yeah, because he basically beat both of us at the same time.
Exactly.
Like he got rid of me and then he pinned Allen, and I was shocked I was trying to get out the casket to celebrate, and then I remembered I was supposed to be dead. So yeah, these guys had to pull me from under the casket and just drag me away under the stage. It was really weird.
I'd be creeping out.
Yeah, the only thing about WrestleMania, main eventing WrestleMania, is that by the time you get backstage, everyone's like gone. So
Yeah, I didn't like that either. If the match doesn't feel that alive because the crowd's already like half asleep at this point.
yeah, and when you go
I hate main
backstage,
eventing mania.
when you go backstage, nobody's there to congratulate you. It's just like, oh.
There might be like a security guard or Shelton Benjamin or somebody.
Sheldon Benjamin.
Like, good job, man. Good job.
Oh, why does he stay so late? I never understand.
I don't know. He has nothing better to do.
And John Cena's always there though. That's good.
True, true. John Cena, he's always there. He's like, very proud of you, man. Good job.
What the hell is that?
He'll give you that homie handshake.
Love John Cena. I love him. Um, I worked with him on Raw last week. We had a nice main event match. Me and him, Seth Rollins at ringside. I think we did a pretty good job. I haven't worked with him in a while. Last time I worked with him was like season 5, I think, was the last time I worked with him before then. And then,
I haven't done it since a tag team match in season 4.
yeah, that's right. My last time working with him was a tag team match last season when when me and Seth won the tag titles from him and Allen.
That's a good era.
Season 4 or season 6.
They were both good eras. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm a little biased for 4. That was my year.
I thought you and Cena were supposed to have a match at WrestleMania 5.
We were, but some stuff went down, and I walked out of the company.
That would have been a good match. John Cena versus Zack. Would have been.
Oh, not to mention Shawn Michaels. I ended up getting Michaels instead.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did get Shawn Michaels. Dun, dun, dun,
But
dun.
I talked to Michaels after I walked out. I apologized to him because I knew the match. I thought the match meant a lot to him, but then he was like, "To be honest with you, Poe, I kind of wanted to work with someone else this year." I just blankly stared at him for a minute. I was like, "I understand."
Well, at least he's being honest.
I thought he would be like, "Ah, Poe, God damn it," but no, he was kind of relieved because he wanted to work with someone else.
Right. Sometimes you're not, like, sometimes you're not feeling, working with what creative gives you. Sometimes you're just like, oh, well, I feel like, naturally I would work with this guy or this guy or this guy.
Exactly,
And,
exactly.
that's how the backstage environment is. It's a lot. It's like I said, you have to, like, be in control of your character. Like, where do you think your character should go? And I like Alan more than Vince because Alan kind of lets you decide that for the
Yeah, he
character.
does that, but I don't like that. To be truthful with you, I like when creative gives me something to do because I have a good creative mind, but to constantly keep it up, it's difficult. I don't want to be a booker and a wrestler. I just want to wrestle. Give me something.
Right, right. There's that too. There's the fact that sometimes you just don't have an idea where your guy should go, so you got to turn to that You gotta turn to Anthony or Alan and be like, hey, any ideas? And they usually come up with some, mostly Anthony. And they usually,
They do.
come up with
Anthony's a little
characters.
superior in the creative department. Like he's got a better idea of what your character should do.
Yeah, he's got a better mind of, the storytelling of wrestling.
Exactly.
Like how the characters, how the characters all interact and all that. And that's what I like about Anthony's style of booking versus like Alan or Vince's style of booking.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Uh, Speaking of Anthony, you two were like the best of friends. You two were partners in crime time back in the good old heydays of WWE wrestling, WWE wrestling, WWE, way back in season 3, and even some into season 4. So, how did you meet Anthony? First of all, how did you guys like become such great friends?
Well, we both made it to, FCW, and that's where we met. Simple as that. I'm not sure where he learned to do his craft. Of course, I went to Texas to do mine with the HB Shizzle,
Mm-hmm.
and we met in FCW. We had to work with each other a lot, and I needed a hotel room to stay one night. He's like, "I got you. Come stay in my room." I went to his room. We watched WrestleMania 27 that night, and we booked how we would do it, and it just kind of stayed off from there. And the friendship didn't last all along, as you know.
Right.
Uh, as I got into the main event scene, me and I started clashing more, and now we don't talk at all.
So when did you guys
Unfortunately,
have your like falling out, like your big?
um, season 5, because that was when he stopped believing in me. Because that's when my career came crashing down a little bit,
Right.
and then he saw it before anybody else, and I guess he was disappointed in me.
He's like a father figure sometimes.
Pretty much, pretty much.
He's like that older brother that's always keeping their eye on you.
That was how it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
like an older brother.
that's how he was with me when I first started out. He was always giving me pointers and tips, and then when I didn't follow them or I went off and did my own thing, he would just when I got backstage, he would just look at me for like 5 minutes straight and then just shake his head and walk off.
I hate that gesture.
Yeah, because you don't want him to open his mouth because when he opens his mouth, it never ends. Jesus Christ.
No, oh my God.
I'd rather have him just looking at me than him going off the rails and shouting loudly.
Why do you think I'm doing politics now?
I mean, he has a loose mouth. He's like kind of like CM Punk. And I always wonder why they were never like arch rivals in their characters because they have a lot in common.
Yeah, now that you mention it, they're very identical,
Yeah,
and Punk kind of learned to shut up later on.
yeah. Unless it's against Allen.
Me, I never shut up. Again, that's why I'm in politics.
Yeah, I mean, wrestlers are kind of like politicians. They kind of are.
Oh yeah, there's politics
Yeah,
everywhere you go.
there's a lot of politics. Workplace, school, unfortunately.
It's life.
I don't know why there are politics in school, but that's just how it is. Like
Unfortunately.
AJ was like one of his teachers was ranting about Donald Trump, and I had to go up there and I was like, is this appropriate? You think these kids really care about all that? Almost how they
Yeah, there should be no politics in school. You go there to learn and get your diploma.
right. That's really all you should worry about stuff like politics on your own time.
Exactly.
Even if you even want to if you even want to get into it because it's so tiring and it's so toxic.
It's tiring, but in a way, politics are more fair than the wrestling biz because in the wrestling biz, there's one guy or a little creative team that decides everything,
Right.
no matter what you do. While in
Right.
politics, you can get a fair vote.
Right. Yeah, in politics, it's like it's conclusive. It's more conclusive.
Exactly.
Unless you're Hillary or Bill Clinton, and you can't get over the results of an election that happened, a year or so ago. But,
Uh,
but yeah, I mean, I've always said that wrestlers are kind of like politicians. We know how to talk. At least the ones that know how to talk. We know how to talk. Um, we know how to get ourselves out of situations that we don't really want to get into.
exactly.
A lot of weird situations for me. A lot of weird matches that I never wanted to get into, and people suggested for me. Like, I mean, you were in a weird match before it with Kevin Nash in the main event of Raw.
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't that a gauntlet match?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it
It
was.
was Nash, Hall, and somebody else. Can't remember who.
X Pac.
X Pac. It was X Pac. Nash was different to work with. The others just took my finisher and took it, but I hit a time paradox on Nash. I went for the cover. He kicked out, so then I picked him up. I tried a pedigree this time, and he sold the pedigree and took the 3. Like you won't take the time paradox and go pick the pedigree.
He likes Triple H, I guess. He loves his best friend. His best friend Triple H.
His amnesia kicked in, and he thought Triple H was pinning him.
I'll put the game over, sure.
Yeah, anytime, buddy.
You did a lot with Nash with the especially with that I think there was a segment where he took Eve in a truck or something like that.
He did. It was a semi truck.
It was a semi truck. What's it like filming those kind of segments? Like those segments that are like kind of outside the ring, because I really like doing those segments.
It's just like acting. It's just like
Yeah.
you're in Hollywood. It comes naturally to me. I was driving JBL's limo for that segment, and limos are not that easy to drive. The tent you can barely fucking see. Uh, and it was kind of anticlimactic for me. I mean, I beat the shit out of Nash. I hijacked him. That was awesome. Uh, then Hogan took Eve, and then I chased Hogan. He threw her off a waterfall, if I remember correctly. And then I just kind of stood there in despair. I didn't get to punch Hogan or anything.
Hogan just walked away.
Pretty much, Zack was
Oh,
just in disbelief. He thought he was dead.
oh man. Oh, speaking of Eve, what's your home like with Mrs. Eve? Like, because she was she used to date Hayden before you guys got
Oh yeah,
together, and then you guys got together, and now you guys are happily married and children and a nice house over up in Ohio.
yeah. Well, when you're with someone for so long, there's not like there's lust, but there's not like the lust when you're first together, where they're on your mind constantly. It's just kind of in your mind. We're married. This is what we do.
Right.
Uh, we're very happy, and I hope her in-ring return works out very well. I'm going to be watching my kid a lot when she's gone, which is very needed because when I was on the road a lot, I didn't get to know Nathan very well,
Mm.
and it sucks as a father.
Yeah, that's why I left for like. Besides the injury, like I was always planning to take a break after WrestleMania. I was just like, uh, um, I met with Alan and Anthony. I was just like, can I come back in 2018 maybe? And of course,
But
I came back in late 2017 because when you're not wrestling and then you're watching wrestling, it's hard to you know not get
get
that.
hyped
Yeah, you get hype. You start planning stuff out in your head, like even when you're not in the ring, and then you're judging other
all the
people's work.
time.
Yeah, it's just like, and then you get that. Oh, you can't. You get that withdrawal, that wrestling withdrawal, and you just have to go back. So I just came back early, even though Alan didn't want me to, and Ashley didn't want me to either, but Anthony did. So.
That's how it was with me. Like I would always think about, okay, how should my heel character work? Like I had this idea besides the NWO. I thought, what if I just became a corrupt dickhead? Okay, I was the champion. What if I made Brock Lesnar like my muscle? For example, you know how in Resident Evil 2, I believe it was, Albert Wesker had the Nemesis, who was basically his muscle. He would just sick him on whoever.
Right, right.
That's what I wanted for Brock to be my nemesis.
It's Brock Lesnar.
Brock.
I'm scared to work with Brock. I'm really scared to work with him. A lot of people tell me that he's like, he's kind of stiff in the way he works.
He works very aggressive now.
Yeah, he's kind of. I mean,
Wish he would go back to his technical style.
yeah, I'm okay with the stiffness, but I mean, it's just like I hate getting tossed around. Basically, I hate getting man. That's why I won't fight Batista. Like I love watching Batista manhandle people, but I would never want to be manhandled by the animal himself.
Yeah, it's very irritating.
Like that's.
But see, that's what motivates me. When I'm thrown around like that, I get visibly pissed off, and I get strength I didn't know I had.
I just get like so sunken and depressed for some reason. I'm just like, finish
Just like,
me.
just pin me.
Yeah, just end me already. Oh, like that's how it was working with Undertaker.
I actually have more wins over the Undertaker than he does over me. Fun fact.
Really?
Yeah, I believe it's 3-2. I think.
Allen has like 1,000 wins over Undertaker.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Allen's every time Taker comes back, Allen just says go away and beats him again.
I know. Taker never beats him.
Taker can just not beat Alan Snyder. I don't know what it is. He can beat Triple H though. It's not Allen.
Yeah, they never really worked together since season 1.
What, Triple H and Undertaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He can beat Shawn Michaels twice, just not Allen.
He can beat anybody else, just not him.
Or Kurt Angle now too, apparently.
Taker just stay retired. I don't want him to ruin his legacy.
Love Kurt Angle. Love his recent work.
Oh, I do too.
Love Undertaker too. He's an insightful guy.
Yeah, he's very, very informative.
Yeah, he's like he is kind of like a father figure in the backstage area when he's around. He's dealing with stuff when Alan and Anthony aren't around.
Like, he really tried to give me a boost in season 2. You know, when I had a Bo Dallas kind of gimmick where I was a Cena V2 on purpose. Because I kind of wanted the negative reaction. Nobody knew this, but I was playing a face that intentionally tried to get boos, and he tried to get that over. Taker was out for a long time after he won the triple threat at WrestleMania. Then he came back at the Royal Rumble to put me over for the title, and it did help a little bit. And that was a very fun match, probably one of the best of that season.
Mike and Undertaker is currently working with well, I told my dad straight up. I was like, you know, you shouldn't bring him back. You should not bring Undertaker back. But Alan insisted that Undertaker comes back. I don't know how Anthony took it, but I said, okay, if you want to do this. So Taker came back a couple of months ago. Now he's working with your good friend Jake Carter, and you know a lot of people have been talking about Jake Carter recently. You know, a lot of controversy surrounding Jake Carter and these little shoot interviews now. So, well, what's your history with Jake, and do you agree with Hayden's comments that you know Jake's isn't a main event player?
How I met Jake was when I was actually scouting. Because keep in mind, I'm a good scouter too. I scouted Matthew Ayler, who went on to be the face of the company. I scouted Jake Carter from Smash Wrestling. He was facing Chris Sabin that night, and he lost. But I met with him, and he was cool, so I scouted him. And ever since then, he's been growing and evolving. I feel like he could add a little more to his character other than Canadian asshole, but he could definitely take the main event. Seeing as some other guys who have been in the main event picture, like if Omega can beat Anthony Chandler, so could Jake Carter.
Right. Hayden said he doesn't see him winning a world title, but Paul Starr said he sees him winning at least one world title.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's got to be like a 10-time world champion. I could see him winning a few world titles. Of course, he's a good heel. He
Right.
just needs to work on making his character a little more advanced.
Right. Right. Hayden. Well, Paul Starr had some choice words about Jake Carter, his incident with CM Punk at the Canadian Invasion pay-per-view. Did Jake ever talk to you about that?
Yeah, he texted me right after the event, and that's where I got him into JCW. I'll get into JCW in a minute. There's actually a big story as to why I worked there for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
But I got him into JCW for a short while, and he just needed to work off his steam before he came back because that was a stressful time for him. It
Jace.
happens to the worst of us.
So so wait, he was in JCW and wait, so what is the whole thing about JCW? Because I want to hear you get into that because I've never followed, I've never really understood JCW.
Yeah, it was a major downgrade for a guy who was the top of the WWE. I'm not trying to bag on JCW because I am great friends with the owners, but I actually hired ICP to help me backstage with backstage politics. Anyone got on my ass, they would like cuss them out. Well, not cuss them out, but like back off them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then they helped me on screen as well when they took on the Global Force.
Right.
And in return, I told them, okay, I'll work for your company for a couple months if anything goes down. And I kind of owed to them in debt. And I brought a couple friends with me so I didn't get bored, like Axis, Carter, uh, other guys like that. And that's the whole story behind that. I just owed them. It was like a debt thing. I didn't have to pay them money. I just had to work for them for a couple months.
I remember I watched their the battle with Sharon Osbourne on the Howard Stern show, and they are some good talkers. Like they can they can talk up a storm and roast up a storm. I would never want to get roasted by them.
Yes, and sometimes they'll put that in their songs as well.
I mean, even though they're technically, well, the FBI classifies them as a gang, but
Yeah, that's a bunch of crap, to be honest with you.
yeah, I don't know why that is. I really don't know. I have some friends who are juggalos, and you know, I always make fun of them, like, well, you're the member of a gang, but really, in reality, it is kind of. I always tell them I do think it's kind of stupid that
Yeah, it's just a bunch of people putting on spray paint, drinking Fago, and enjoying music.
right. It's just like there's a lot of fan bases out there. So are they all gangs and stuff? It's like,
Makes no sense to me.
yeah, it never made. The FBI is kind of stupid. The FBI does a lot of stupid things, says a lot of stupid things. Like letting Hillary Clinton off the hook just before the election.
Pretty sure she paid them off.
I'm pretty sure she paid them off too. That's why you got to be careful in politics, man.
Man, luckily I'm only in national. Well, not national. What kind of politics am I in? Fuck it, governor politics. I'm not in presidential. Presidential's got a lot more coverage to it.
Right, right.
I
That's
have less competition.
yeah, but still, it's there's some sneaky bastards in Ohio. To be honest.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, there's only one guy I'm worried about. Well, there's a couple. I can name off a couple guys who are confirmed for the election. Um, Republican nominee Mike DeWine. He worked for, I believe, U.S. Senate. I could be wrong. Mike DeWine's probably my favorite Republican nominee there. I like some of his policies. I don't like his view on net neutrality. He's one of those guys who wants it taken away for whatever reason.
It's not bothering anybody.
Yeah, I don't see why you would want to take that away. If you want to pay for looking up something on Google, you do that. But no, thank you.
Yeah, that's not me. I, I'm the
The
kind of guy
internet
who's
is a
just
great
like,
place.
yeah, it's a great place. Just leave it alone.
A lot of people make money off the internet. Don't ruin that.
Like it's because I'm not a fan of Obama, but just because Obama put it in place doesn't mean you have to take away everything Obama has done.
Actually, yeah, exactly. He's done some good stuff.
Yeah, he's not like
There's another guy, Joe Scanobi, Democratic nominee. I'm kind of worried about him too. I think I can beat him, but I think it's really going to come down to Gustin and Scanobi.
Joe Scanobi.
Yeah, it's a funny name.
What kind of name is that? That's like Hugh Morris. What the hell?
I mean, look at my running mate, fucking Bill Bean.
Bill Bean. It's like a Marvel name.
Bill Bean, he likes to
Bill
eat beans.
Bean. He likes to eat beans. Freaking Popeye beans. Bill Bean. That could be like his gimmick. Jesus.
Good God. But I think Bill Bean's going to do a tremendous job. He's kept Urbana safe for a long time.
I still think you should have picked Jerry Lawler. He's the man.
I thought about it, but Jerry, you drink too much, buddy.
Jerry. Good
I
old
thought about doing
Jerry.
Jerry Springer too, just to get some attention, but given the circumstances of how he lost his Cincinnati mayor job, I don't think this is a good bet.
Nah. Yeah, some guys you just gotta guys you can absolutely trust before anything.
I don't want you writing a check to a hooker in Urbana while I'm doing something. Like Jerry, you're gonna. I love Jerry Springer, but God, man, I can't trust him with this.
Oh, Jerry. Both Jerrys. I feel bad for both of them.
Bill Bean will do a great job.
Yeah, good old Bill Bean. Bill Bean.
Now the posters are going to look kind of funny. It's going to say Gustin Bean 2018.
Eminem raps. Eminem's gonna make a rap, and that's the title.
Gustin Bean 2018.
Oh my God. Ooh. I spilled all my what's that called? Bacon. I forgot what bacon was called. I almost called it ketchup. What the hell?
The ketchup.
Almost spilled all my ketchup. So, speaking of politics, a lot's gone on in politics in 2017. Eminem made a rap about Donald Trump there. I know you're a big fan of Eminem and Trump. So,
Yeah.
well, what was kind of your reaction to that whole one-sided rivalry?
I think it was a little unnecessary. I know Eminem is just trying to be relevant, with all due respect to him. He's got nothing to talk about now, so why not talk about the guy America hates so that you can get a bigger fan base. It was smart of Eminem to do it, but I don't know. I listened to the song and I didn't care for it very much. It sounded very off time.
Yeah.
His timing was pretty bad. I do love Eminem. Great guy.
Sounded kind of like social justice-y.
Yeah,
Like,
I hope Eminem never gets into politics.
Remember, this is the guy who used to rap about driving his girlfriend off a bridge and
yeah, exactly.
killing his mom, and now he's calling Trump a sexist and a racist. It's like,
yeah, Eminem, you gotta chill out there, buddy.
right? Because I mean, that was just weird to me. I mean, when I first saw it, I was just like, ugh. Okay.
Like, we get it. You're a liberal, I guess.
Right, which is weird. I never imagined him as a liberal, like Eminem.
I notice whenever Republicans are doing good for themselves, liberals are doing all this petty shit. But when it's the other way around, Republicans are supporting.
Right, and they're always so silent and just dealing with it, basically. But that's why I won't get into politics. I would just vote, and that's it. I mean, Alan's into politics. Alan's always donating to Republican candidates. I remember he appeared on Trump's last rally before the election, and he got on stage and endorsed him up in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did Alan vote for Roy Moore?
No, I don't think he did.
I voted for Doug Jones, but I don't know. I feel like Roy Moore is just a little out of taste.
Yeah, he's in my opinion, he's too religious for me.
I'm not very big on religion either.
Yeah.
Did you see his representative on the news with can't remember his name, but he was on the news and he was getting interviewed. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't see that. What happened?
Basically, he's getting interviewed 24 hours before Roy's voting, the election.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking, and he was so clueless, dude. It was ridiculous. Towards the end of it, he was like, you have to pledge to a Christian Bible to become governor or something like that. I swear to God, that's what he said. And then the interviewer's like, "You do realize you can pledge on whatever Bible you want, right? You didn't know that?" And then his representative just stared blankly into the screen and started opening his mouth slowly. And he started blinking his eyes so slowly. He was so confused.
Yeah,
That's not a good look for 24 hours before your election, dude. Come
the
on.
the allegations didn't help.
Oh, it was a massacre, and his representative was just even worse than he
Yeah,
was.
it's like, I mean, just elect better candidates. But
That's what I'm saying.
like, that's it.
Well, they're just voting for a bunch of Bible thumpers, you know.
I,
God is my witness. I'm going to save this country.
if God is my witness, Jr. Go ahead, Jr. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think that it should be too involved, religion and politics. I don't think they should be too involved with each other.
I don't either. So, like, I'm never running for president, but let's say that I did. I I wouldn't be all about. I wouldn't mention God at all. Not in one of my speeches would I ever mention God. If you believe in God, you go ahead, pray to Him, whatever you want. But this is a whole separate thing. He should not be mentioned, I believe.
Yeah, it even says, in the Bible that it's, well, at least from I don't ever read the Bible in years, but from what I can tell, politics are just too dangerous to cross over with religion.
Exactly. And there's people who don't believe in God. That's just gonna throw people off, you know.
Yeah, like there are. I remember JFK. Because people do get scared, like even though religious people get scared of mixing religion with politics, because I remember when JFK was president, he was the first Catholic president, and
Wow.
why am I saying I remember? I wasn't even alive at the time. But maybe Chad was, maybe Chad remembers it. But he was the first Catholic president, and you know he had to make a speech that was basically like, I promise you guys, I won't bring religion into my decisions as president, and I won't base it off my Catholic beliefs and my Catholic views, because if you don't know, the Catholic Church, the head of the Catholic Church is the Pope. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah, that is the Vatican Church. So people were thinking, oh, what if he just goes to the Pope for every decision, like the death penalty and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's scary.
Yeah, so he had to clarify that he wasn't going to cross religion into his tenure as president.
You think he did?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, me neither.
I think he did.
He was charismatic, very charismatic president.
A ladies' man.
The guy who scored Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. We need more. We need a president who looks as good as JFK.
Well, I think Donald J. Trump looks just as good on the inside as JFK did on the outside.
He doesn't look like he's 70 though. I was surprised when I heard he was 70. He looks like he's like in his 50s.
Donald Trump was a very handsome man when he was younger, to be honest.
Right, he was. He was.
Like he was a ladies' man.
Look, Donald. I saw him backstage. Oh, this cookie is delicious. M&M cookies, everybody. Get yourself a bite-sized pack. I saw him backstage when he appeared at the Slammy Awards, and he presented Alan with his championship. Man, he was just so... It was so mesmerizing just being even near him. He was so larger than life.
That's what I like about Trump. He's got all that charisma.
Yeah, he just radiates charisma, and that's why... we were talking about The Rock earlier. That would be an interesting battle between like two of the most charismatic guys. Just kind of going at it.
That's why it would have been awkward if Hillary won, in my opinion, because you got the guy who he may not have as many fans as Hillary, but he's more popular. So you got the more popular guy not winning. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, it's just if she won, it'd be kind of boring. It'd just be so anticlimactic. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hillary won because, like I said again, politics are kind of like wrestling. You have opponents, you have rivals, you have heel turns and face turns, and everything has a conclusion, and it concludes on the elections. So,
Exactly.
you even have comeback stories and all that. So, like, if she won, it'd just be like, so we get another 4 to 8 years of Obama. Okay. Ugh.
Don't even get me started with Obama. You didn't get to vote until this election, correct?
Yeah, this was my first time voting.
Yeah, because you're a youngin. I was able to vote for John McCain back in '08, and that was a fun election.
Wasn't his running mate Sarah Palin?
Yeah, that's pretty much what screwed him over.
Apparently, he hired Sarah Palin because Obama was black, so he needed a minority in his corner, I guess. I don't know.
I guess that's a good way to look at it, I suppose. Why didn't you just get a black guy then?
Right? Just was Ben Carson in the party at that time? Could have got Ben Carson as his running.
Yeah, Carson would have been perfect.
Yeah,
He's one of my favorites.
he could have got Ben Carson. Like, that election was kind of uneventful, though, in my opinion. It's just,
It was, yeah. I was definitely a McCain guy though.
I wasn't even like into politics at that time. Not until
Everybody was Obama, Obama.
Obama, Obama. Pretty sure they
I
made.
went to I visited a elementary school around that time, and I shit you not, I'm not trying to be racist, but these black children were repeating his name like a bunch of mockingbirds. They were like, Obama, 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 Obama. I was just, all right, good day to you.
What?
I swear to God, that happened.
Um, I think, I think wasn't the creative team trying to get Obama at WrestleMania back in season 2?
They were, and actually, we got Obama to appear at a live event. Um, Obama came out, and I forget what he did with Hassan. I think he punched him or something. Uh, we were gonna do Hassan versus Obama. It was like a signification of beating terrorism.
Oh, what
That's what we
the
were
hell?
going for. I mean, in a wrestling viewpoint, that was a terrible move. But if you're trying to get support and stuff, that's awesome because
Yeah,
terrorism sucks. That's a good thing to do.
you try to get a cause going.
Exactly. Fuck terrorism.
How the hell
That's what
was
Saxby was going for.
how the hell was Obama gonna wrestle? You guys, someone was there someone gonna train him?
Um, well, the thing was, we didn't plan on him doing too many moves. He probably would have done like a clothesline, or we already had like a what are those suits called that you wear? Um, Kurt Angle wears one.
Oh, the singlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we had a singlet for Obama already ready for him to wear, and yeah, I mean, we would have trained him, give him pointers, but he was mostly just gonna do like clotheslines and diving fists, stuff like that. And Hassan was gonna job.
Oh God. Oh
He
my
was gonna
son.
job to Obama,
Dang. We haven't
and we
seen him
pulled it at the
since.
last moment.
Really?
Yeah, we pulled it at the last moment because creative decided, you know what, we need more. We could put something more productive here, another match, if you will. And that match ended up being Jawez and Elis,
Oh yeah, Jaws and Elis, the unstoppable
and
clock.
Unstoppable Cock. They were the best tag team of that era because there really weren't any good tag teams.
True. Not until
Ah, fun.
recently. Not until recently there were good tag teams. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like in
we're talking season two.
yeah, I mean, like in season 4, I mean, it was always like these rotating cuts. Like season 4, you had Stone Cold and Triple H, and then you had Damian Sandow and Tyson Kidd.
You got Legacy,
Yeah, you had the Global Force and
The Rock, and Britt.
Rock and Brick Connection. Not until recently has the tag division been like prominent.
Yeah, I'm glad it's finally on its feet.
Yeah, there's a lot of revolution, a lot of divisions like 205. What the hell? The cruiserweight division is coming back with 205 Live.
I'm excited about that.
So a lot of rappers around here. Oh, Jesus. Um, So I was looking into that. I'm excited for cruiserweight wrestling to come back. Last year we had a cruiserweight division, but it kind of just fizzled out.
Yeah, we pretty much tried to revive that in season 4, I believe.
Yeah, with
It all
Chavo.
started with Chavo, Ray, and Tajiri.
Yeah, Chavo, Ray, Tajiri, and then it became Venom versus Tajiri every week.
Oh, Alan, why?
Venom versus Tajiri. Oh my
And then we
god.
just gave up on the division, and Michael Cole just had it.
Didn't he fight like Sin Cara or something?
That was the feud that led to Cole losing the belt, yeah.
Michael Cole versus Sin Cara.
It was fun watching Cole as champion, though. He would sit at commentary like, "It is me, your cruiserweight champion, Michael Cole, and Jerry the King Lawler."
I believe that was on SmackDown, right? That was all going on SmackDown.
It was, yeah. It was entertaining watching him commentate with the title. It just added on to his ego.
Yeah, I've never really been on SmackDown. I've never really traveled with the SmackDown crew.
I never liked SmackDown. I've been on SmackDown, but for me, it just doesn't click. My best storylines came from Raw.
Yeah, I feel like Raw is completely different atmosphere.
It really is. The best stories tend to happen there, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, like the best wrestling, the best story, the best characters, in my opinion, the best storylines.
Yeah,
Over on
exactly.
Raw, and I mean, I like going over to the SmackDown locker room when I appear on there for like a day or so. It's cool seeing, guys that you haven't traveled with in a while.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like I used to travel with CM Punk. Now I have to go to SmackDown to see him.
Yeah, that really took me and Eve apart at one point
Oh
because
yeah.
when Dixon's came and I was on SmackDown for a brief minute, we couldn't travel together.
Oh
So
yeah, because Dix has traveled with the Raw guys.
yeah, and I was on SmackDown feuding with Rush, I believe, at the time.
Yeah, that was back in like March, I think.
Yeah, and he was on Dixon's doing random matches.
It is, that's another thing with the traveling. If you're ever dating someone in the company, it's really hard. It's you only
It's
get to,
even worse when you're married, you know.
yeah, you only get to see them like freaking once a week or so.
Not to mention our kid. Like we had to let my brother watch my kid for a while in Ohio.
Gee, does he watch wrestling or is he just not?
When we were kids, yeah, he watched it. We watched Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock feud. He lost interest as he grew up, and he doesn't follow it at all now.
That's my aunt.
Uh,
The only time she hears about wrestling is when Alan gets injured. And
my
she,
brother was a huge John Cena fan.
I think everybody was a huge John Cena fan, whether we want to admit it or not, at some point.
Yeah, the thuggy John Cena.
Yeah, everybody, everyone liked John Cena at some point. Even Bruce Blitz, I'm sure he liked John Cena at some point.
Oh, how can he not?
Yeah, I think he just has a hard time admitting his love for John Cena. I don't know.
I
He has a hard time coming to terms with the man, the myth, the legend, John Cena.
love John Cena.
Yeah, I love him too. I loved his heel work back in uh after WrestleMania 4.
It was a good story.
Yeah, he went to ECW and like worked some of his most stiff and hardcore matches of all time.
And it was a very different environment for Cena. I'm sure he was scared shitless given how violent the ECW crowd is.
Yeah, yeah. Like I mean, Kurt Angle was kind of used to it, but Kurt
Oh,
Angle,
Kurt Angle was loved there.
yeah, I remember he almost worked in ECW once. Back in
Yeah, that's right. There was
yeah,
a crucifixion angle that made him not want to work there.
yeah, back in the Attitude Era.
It's a good thing he didn't go.
Yeah, he would have been a much different character, much different wrestler.
I don't think we would have ever seen the Patriot, Kurt Angle.
No, probably not. Not the All American. I almost said All American American. That's Jack Swagger, right? The All
Yeah,
American. Oh, Jack Swagger fell from grace too. Oh, he
yeah.
was so big.
Didn't he just sign with MMA?
Yeah, I think he did sign with Bellator MMA.
Good for him because his career went down the shitter.
He season 4, and then he WrestleMania, and he kind of just like kind of just fell off the map, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's good that he left. He just can't. I don't think he can keep up with the characters anymore.
Yeah, it's different. It's really different. I think the
We the People was really new and innovative at the time, but
yeah, and then the whole NWO thing came, and it was just like,
overshadowed.
yeah, well, what do we do now?
Let's take the belt off Swagger. He's not doing anything.
John Cena wins it.
That was so random.
Every time they wanted to get rid of somebody, they just gave it to John Cena.
I noticed that.
Every single time, and you know, I guess it's better than giving it to Zack Ryder.
True, good point.
Zack Ryder randomly winning it from Triple H was a weird experience, to be honest with you.
I don't know what was going through the mind of creative. Who did he job to lose it? Wasn't it like Christian or something?
I believe it was Triple H.
Triple H just won it back.
Yeah, I think there was like a battle royal between the Nexus and the WWE. And
That's right.
sure. No, wait. Was it Triple? It was Triple H he beat for the title, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a fatal four-way.
I remember there was a battle royal. My memory back then is fuzzy because I was still.
I bet you forgot that I was world champion in that season as well.
Yeah, that's when I was finishing up college, and I can't. It's so fuzzy. I was over in Japan, and I could barely. Because when I'm watching WWE over in Japan, it's like it's a completely different time zone. So I'm doing something else while
It was hard
WWE.
to keep up the first season.
Yeah, a lot of stuff went on. A lot of weird stuff, a lot of good stuff, a lot of crazy stuff. I think Michael Cole was the runner-up for the Rumble.
He was. Yeah.
Michael Cole. I think Michael Cole beat John. He beat somebody by countout. It was either John Cena or Allen by countout.
Oh, he rolled me up.
What?
Yeah, he rolled me up.
What? Yeah. See what I mean? It was just a lot of weird stuff to keep up with.
Yeah, it was like slapstick comedy.
There's a lot of crazy gimmicks back then too. A lot of crazy gimmicks.
Right.
Like, oh, I remember the guy with the most normal gimmick at the time was probably you and Anthony.
Yeah, we were pretty normal.
Like, if
I don't
you,
really know what Zack was back then. Was he just plain badass?
yeah, Anthony was like,
Just a
like,
generic heel,
yeah,
basically.
I think it was just CM Punk 2.0,
Pretty much, yeah.
basically. So, have you been thinking about like when you've been away? Have you been thinking about new gimmicks that you like to try out? Like,
Oh yeah, all the time. I sit there and I think about different gimmicks I could try. And I was gonna take inspiration from Trump and do a pose cabinet type deal.
oh, like a presidential gimmick.
Yeah, pretty much. But more of an asshole president.
Hmm, that sounds interesting. I've never thought about doing a gimmick like that. I kind of
I
just
thought it could work.
I keep it simple with my gimmicks. I like to keep it low key.
Every time I came back, I thought I had to rejuvenate myself somehow.
Yeah, it is. It is good to keep it fresh.
I try every time I come back, but it's just too late for me now.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that it's too. Um, Paul Starr. I remember when I was talking to him in private. He said that um, a Zack Poe comeback could be an interesting storyline, but he just doesn't believe in it. He doesn't. He I don't know. I hate speaking for other people, especially Paul Starr, because I don't want him to blood sacrifice me like he used to do back in the olden days. But yeah, he said it would be one of the greatest wrestling comebacks of all time.
Yeah, that's what Hayden said to me personally.
Yeah, Hayden's been one of the guys who's been really behind you.
Backstage, at least on
Yeah.
screen, it's all out.
Yeah, backstage has been really advocating for you. Uh, what do you think about those critics who basically say that your time in WWE is just it's not happening.
I can understand what they're coming from because I've had a lot of chances that have been squandered, and why should this time be any different?
Right,
But at the same time, I feel like they forget about the impact that I left there before everything went down the shitter.
right, like the WrestleMania main events and such.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I'm not the best wrestler, but I'm certainly not the worst. I can
Yeah,
still go.
yeah. I mean, they're like they're
People forget that I'm actually a good wrestler.
yeah, there are some really bad. There's some really bad wrestlers out there. Like Alistair White. I mean, would you rather have Alistair White at the top? Alistair came, did one match, beat Allen, and left. I forgot what his gimmick was. I don't remember what that guy's gimmick was.
I don't remember either. He also beat Undertaker in a cell match.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did beat Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match.
I forget why. Why did he leave again?
I don't remember at all.
He probably went to go play with his band or something.
I forgot he had a band.
Yeah. He has a band, and that's why he wouldn't appear to a lot of the shows because he would go over there and practice and do local concerts and whatnot.
Wasn't that the time when the ECW championship was only defended at like live events?
That was it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd only appear at live events.
Only defend the live event championship.
It was very degrading to the title,
Yeah.
and it
Um,
really hurt its prestige.
what season was that? Was that 4 or 5?
I believe 4.
Yeah, it was 4. Yeah, because there was a. I think there was
Then
a
after
last man
Alistair lost, he just threw a fit backstage and retired.
stand. So one hit wonders over there.
Yeah, this is the bigger definition of a one-hit wonder. And then it's
Yeah.
ironic how we got a new guy named Alistair Black.
Right.
Like, I don't know if he took inspiration from White or
Huh.
he just didn't think about it.
Probably didn't even know who Alistair White was. I mean, yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I almost confused him for a second.
Yeah.
Alistair Yellow. Who's that gonna be?
Alistair Gray.
Alistair Gray. Alistair Storms. Whoa, that's way off base.
Alistair Rainbow.
I just don't know. I don't understand why Allen was so adamant in putting him over. It's just weird.
I guess he just made a name for himself very early.
He's like Mark Jindrak almost joining Revolution. I mean, Evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
The hell,
I was pretty high on him too, but
Mark
I don't
Jindrak.
know why.
Well, high on Alistair White.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of people were.
I felt like he would challenge me.
Yeah, it's just a failed experience. There's a lot of failed experiments in wrestling.
Yeah, like Maven's main event push that was supposed to happen.
Oh yeah, that's why he beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and he was gonna beat Flair, but plans got changed.
What for the title?
Yeah, because Flair was originally scripted to beat Allen, but then he stopped backstage. He was like, "You know what? I'm old. This will be a good time to retire."
Woo!
Woo!
That was a good match, Allen and Flair. And
That
then
was a great match.
Batista versus Allen after that, and then Big Show came in.
Emotional.
Yeah. Sad Batista. Sad Batista. I'd rather have sad Batista than mad Batista. I always say that.
I don't know whether I'd want one of them.
What is sad? Sad Batista's. Sad Batista probably turns into mad Batista.
Yeah, but then Sam Batista doesn't want to wrestle.
Sad Batista. That's the animal. Okay, good. Mm. I know. Oh, Ric Flair and Hayden have been going at it on Twitter.
I noticed that.
They really have. I see a lot of Flair and Hayden. Like I said
I
earlier.
think Flair should go through with it because he kind of ruined the whole point of retiring when he came back to fight The Miz for no real reason.
Yeah.
Um, so he should come back, and I feel he should do that program and retire again and just not come back this time.
Why did he come back for Miz anyway?
I really don't. His return wasn't really thought through, but creative desperately wanted him back. They dismissed Ric Flair.
Ric Flair specifically.
Ric Flair, they missed him. They really wanted him back, and it happened. And he didn't really do anything as he shouldn't have came back.
They missed Scott Steiner.
True. Although he was very funny as GM.
And on commentary, he was pretty funny.
Yeah. A lot of love for Steiner.
Big bad booty daddy.
Remember when he tried to intervene on his retirement speech? I think Sting was there, and Sting was like, "Don't make me get Rick," and then Scott was like, "What's Rick gonna do, huh?"
Flair and Scott.
And then someone took him out. I forget who.
Probably Alan.
Yeah, probably Alan.
That's all Alan does is take people out. He's got his golden shovel.
Unfortunately.
As CM Punk likes to say, Alan's little shovel. I don't know if he buries people that much, but sometimes he does, like Paul Starr at No Way Out, kind of buried.
Yeah, like he doesn't bury as much as they say, but he wins sometimes when he doesn't need to.
Yeah, when he doesn't need to win, like happens a lot.
Like if he won at WrestleMania, that would have killed Rollins off. I think.
Yeah, that would have been
That
it
was
for
his
sure.
moment.
He had to win there, in my opinion. He just had to. But
I'd rather have you retain than Alan win that match.
Well,
wait, no, Alan was champion.
Alan and Seth were both the champions. I was the new guy.
Third guy.
Yeah, I was the third guy. If I won,
right.
I would have been okay. But I mean, I even thought about like what would happen if I won. Like, but at the same time, I was just like, I just want to break. And if I win the titles now, I'm obviously not gonna get the off season off because then I'll have to travel to Japan and do that, and I'll have to travel to Canada, travel to Australia. Yeah. And it's like it's in the summer when they have you travel everywhere: Canada, Australia, Japan, Mexico. It's like,
Don't miss that.
Like at least with Australia, they let you stay there a month. But I even bought a house there. But
Really? Wow.
yeah, that's about it. I mean, I love being in Australia because I get when I'm not at that house, I get to stay at Ryan's Mansion, and
Ryan's Nation.
Yeah, Ryan's Mansion, and that works out fine for watching his cats with his mom and his kangaroo.
With everybody owning a cat.
I don't know. I really don't know. His kangaroo Joey. He has a
More
kangaroo.
of a dog guy.
I'm more of a dog guy too. Yeah, I miss my dog already.
I heard about that. Sorry to hear about that, man.
It's okay. Apparently I have another dog. When I was dating this person and we got a dog together, and she reminded me that she still has that dog. I'm just like, huh.
Maybe I should go see him.
I'm a bastard dog owner, I guess.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
Bastard dog owner. Just like Hayden's a bastard father. So, our good friend Phil, as in CM Punk, not Darkside Phil. Our good friend Phil.
I was gonna say.
He wanted to know, if you ever would come back to the WWE, because he said he would like to work with you.
If I would ever come back to the WWE?
Yeah.
We would have to carefully talk about my plans and schedule before I came back. Like I can't just be rushed to the main event and be expected to do all this traveling and stuff.
Right, especially since
I got to get comfortable.
Yeah, especially since you have to campaign later this year.
Exactly. So if I'm gonna wrestle, I have to do it between now and November. And the chances of me doing that are severely low. Creative doesn't want me back, so if I do, it'll probably just be an appearance, unfortunately,
With the Animal Batista.
with the Animal Batista.
Batista versus Poe finally.
I would love to do that match. Maybe one day we'll get to do it.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, if I wrestle, it'll probably have to be in Japan because Creative doesn't mind me going there. I mean, or Ring of Honor.
right. So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Paul Starr.
Okay.
If you never wrestled in the WWE specifically, because I know you said in Japan, you would be fine. If you never wrestled in WWE specifically again, would you be okay with how everything happened?
I with all my accomplishments, yes, of course, but I would hate to end my career with a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I want to be recalled upon instead of drowned upon. If that makes
Right.
any sense.
Right. Wait, what was the last thing you did? I can't remember. There's so many times.
The last time I was on WWE programming,
Yeah.
the last thing I did was cut a promo on Raw with Sting for some reason.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that's right.
that led to his heel turn, and I was gonna go to SmackDown and feud with Brock, but some shit happened, and I bounced. It all started when I was traveling to SmackDown, and my bus broke down, and I couldn't make it to the event. And then people were pissed at me, and I thought, this is already happening. So I went to Ohio immediately after, and I put my ticket in to run for governor.
Yeah. You're just like, all right, I just do this then.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. It's
My contract was short anyway, so I just let it run out.
It happens. Happens sometimes. Circumstance and all that.
It just sucks. I don't want to be drowned upon. I'd love to be called upon.
But what did I tell you? Start taking those planes. I mean,
I don't know, Aaron.
Superman said the safest way to travel is by flight.
I trust my bus though. It let me down, but I trust my bus.
Well, your bus got you out of the door.
Don't remind me.
So I
Don't
took
remind me.
the private jet. I remember one time I took a cruise for some reason, and I don't know why.
I took a cruise to Australia for SummerSlam just to punch you in the face.
That was a good night. I love SummerSlam.
I got paid really well just to punch you in the face.
Yeah, like the Floyd Mayweather kind of thing. Just a
Yeah,
yeah.
like really? All that for a punch? Okay, coming.
Alan was Alan
Uh,
was probably feeling generous that day.
Probably because I'm not wrestling.
I was like, yeah, just give him a couple K's, couple G's. Okay, Alan.
Oh, I
So
wish I at least left on a better note.
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's one of those bittersweet things.
Exactly.
Like I was fine how high when I originally took my hiatus, how I left with Seth throwing me in a casket and burying me alive, like he
Yeah,
like
it's symbolic.
Ambrose, yeah, like Ambrose did to him a year before. Um, but when I came back, I was so rejuvenated. I was ready to just come back to it and get back into the sway things. And I did have a little ring rust. What am I, 5? Ring rust at
Ring
first.
rust.
Yeah, ring rust at first working with Hayden, but because it was a different Hayden than I faced the last time I wrestled him back in 2015. It was like completely different. Like I'm wrestling him now, and it was like 2 years since we had our last. Literally 2 years. November 2015 is when I faced him, I think. Um,
His confidence is higher. That's why.
yeah, he's so much more aggressive, and he's working a more aggressive style. And he's more fast on his feet and stuff. And I'm like, he almost took me for a loop, and I just somehow kept up with him. Uh, and which is weird because I usually never get ring rust, but I guess going against Hayden, it's I don't know. I never get ring rust because I'm always when I'm not wrestling, I'm always doing other stuff like the martial arts and the Seth Rollins. What does he do? CrossFit. I was getting into that recently, which
Right.
I still think
Gotta keep active.
I still think it's not as cool as Seth promotes it to be, but
It's
whatever.
not.
Yeah, whatever. I think John Morrison does it too. I'm just like, ugh. I mean, Alan doesn't
Pretty
do
much
CrossFit.
yoga.
Yeah, it's pretty much just yoga. Alan doesn't do CrossFit and he's okay.
Right. He can do everything at his age.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's not okay right now, but he was okay until last Tuesday, basically. Alan was
Yeah, I
smart.
mean, it's like a what, 30-year career? 40?
Yeah, 30 years of doom.
That's amazing.
That's his documentary, 30 Years of Doom.
Iconic.
I wonder what my documentary is gonna be like.
I don't know either because people remember me as Zach Poe and not Zach Gustin, so it's be a little awkward.
Yeah.
I'm trying to transferring to Gustin now, sort of a name change, if you will.
Yeah, like Hayden in his 5,000 names.
Right. I just trying to make a new image for myself.
The rejuvenation, reconstruction era.
Reconstruction.
That was an.
Hopefully, no more transgenders.
Jesus Christ.
Alanisha Snyder.
Alanisha Snyder. So, yeah, this interview has been going on for almost, way above 3 hours. I think we covered a lot. I think we talked about quite a bit. Got to know you better, your politics. So, the politics, you gotta, make sure, like I said before, make sure you don't let anyone con you, don't let anyone screw you out of anything. Remember, there are a lot of dead voters and illegal voters that sneak into these borders, like Zeb Coulter says, across our borders and steal our jobs and our money. So make sure well, don't gun them down, but just don't let them vote for the opposition party.
I'll keep my head up.
And it was good to sit down and just talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Go
Been a
over all
while.
this stuff. Yeah, it's been a while since we hung out. Like I think the last time we really hung out was at Anthony's wedding last summer.
I remember that fun party. Got to see ELS.
Yeah, I get to see Elis again. Yeah, him being the preacher. Oh my god.
That was something else.
Oh, Elis. Crazy guy, but
Fun character.
yeah, fun character, crazy guy. He's doing voice acting now too.
Really,
Yeah,
really. Wow.
he's in video games and stuff and movies. I'm just like, well, good for him. He
Thought he
found,
did his goal,
found something outside of WWE to do.
just
Um,
like me.
I feel like they treated him unfairly and screwed him, but you know, it is what it is.
That's just how it is. Yep. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's how it happens sometimes. I'm surprised Alan doesn't kill me for my comments here, but probably someday he will. He'll probably someday get back at me. Raw 25 is coming up, so even if you won't be there, it'll be fun to watch Raw 25, the biggest Raw in the last 20. I almost called it Raw 30, the biggest Raw in the last 25 years.
Yeah, it should be an historical event. I hope we see something like, I don't know, a title change, something like that.
Yeah, something big, something maybe. Chavo Guerrero captures the WWE Championship from Hayden Storms.
I would mark out.
And with
I'd be commenting Chavito Heat all over Twitter.
Chavito. Oh, Eddie Guerrero, man. If only he was still here today. It'd be a different WWE.
I'd love to wrestle him.
I would love to wrestle Eddie too. He's so good. Oh God, he's so good, Eddie Guerrero. Um. So, yeah, I think we pretty much covered all of our bases here. I don't really have any more questions. Is there anything you'd like to say to the wrestling universe?
I just want to say, even if I never come back, try to never forget the long-lasting impact of the police empire. Vote for me in November.
November 2018, the Ohio governor election. The Republican nominee, Zack Gustin. Democratic nominee, we don't exactly know that yet. But well, we know the nominees. We just don't know who's.
The finalists.
Yeah, so you still got to get through that primary over there. It's gonna be a tough race, but I gave my endorsement. So make sure you go out, you register, all you Ohio citizens, you register. You put in your ballot, vote for a better future, vote for your future, the future, a better tomorrow, and yeah, it's pretty much it. Just vote for a better tomorrow. I'm not good
You're
at this one.
Gustin or Bustin.
You're Gustin or busting your own future. Gustin Bell. Wait, what was it? Gustin.
Gustin Bean.
Gustin.
Gustin Bean.
Gustin Bean 2018. All right. See you later, WWE Universe.